Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Yes, after a weekend off, my name is Dave Scott, right here on Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, Skinwalker Ranch, UFOs, YouTube talk, all things high strangeness, paranormal, supernatural, ghosts, oddities. Carl the Crusher is here to talk about all this great stuff that's on his YouTube channel and that he is studying. Hey, Carl can't be wrong. Over 3 million subscribers on YouTube, and he's got a very healthy beard and chin hair combination. Yes, it's beautiful. All right, let's get to it before we bring Carl in. Say hello to everyone in the chat room tonight. Race fan in the gold medal position. Michael Morris with the silver. Cosmic Floor takes home the bronze. A Muse. Pol Pot, it's been a while. How you doing? Good to have you back. D. Cohen, nice to see you. Kathleen Hughes. Les Paul Holland, Kathy Evans, nice to see you all. Samantha and Latro, good to have you here. As we continue on with roll call, Ozzy Ange is here. She'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Black Dragon, one of our favorite veterans who listens to this show. He is one of the great ones, as are all veterans, and you always have a safe home here in our chat room. Thank you for your service, Black Dragon. Very much appreciated. Michael Fontaine, Nightmare, good to have you here. Dick Daigle is here, former NHL first overall pick. Do not call him a bust. Dick Daigle returns. He'll be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio. To the right of the studio. Science Melinda, number 12 in your program. Lars Jansson, he'll be starting on defense from Pattaya, Sweden. And moving on, David Brown, nice to see you. Brown Dwarf, good to have you back, man. Donna Spencer, how are you? Terry Hall, your mustache is looking fantastic tonight. Steam Train Mark in Australia, please let me know if I'm alive in the future. I would appreciate that since it's tomorrow where you are. Ed Clater, good to have you here. Paradox Fossils, nice to have you back. Bullenium, my man, how are you? Thanks for coming on in. Mama Susan, good to see you. Alien Critter, it's always a pleasure. And yes, as Terry says, hit that thumbs up, people. It helps us out. Margie O, thanks for coming on in. And Brian Drummond, good to see you. Jules, always a pleasure. Joshua S. and Digger Dog, nice to see you. As we continue on, YJ Overlander, hope you went 4x4 in this past weekend. Glenn Dannison, nice to have you here. And who else do we got? Holly Williams is here. Give us a wave. She always waves back, people. Dirty Filth, Jeff Steve Garvey, he'll hit a home run for you. Enzo, nice to see you here, Enzo. Always a pleasure. I hope your hair is looking much more luscious than it was last week. Richard Elmore, nice to have you back. And who else are we being joined by here? Mr. Lurks-a-Lot, good to see you. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived. Yes, we can officially start the show. Wes H., nice to have you here. Let's get the radio side started. And who else is joining us here tonight? Well, let's see here. Michael Godbold, good to see you. Barry Brown, thanks for coming on in. Amy, Vegas. Oh, yes, the emergency dink was seen at the wedding. Looking just as pricky as possible, if you understand what I'm saying. God, I hate that guy. Invisible Tracker, Far Flung, good to see you. And Escape from Blue Jersey, thanks for coming on in. Vin Man, how you doing in Winterpeg? How's the mosquitoes? Let us know. Lavira, nice to see you. Pam Harris, Scrub-a-Dub-Dub, God White, Travis DeLuca, nice to have you all here. And where are we? Awesome Ann B, nice to see you. Margaret Oliver, thank you for taking us in tonight. And John Music, yeah, we got to get a hold of you. We do. We'll set up a date, and that'll be in a couple of weeks. All right. Super Chat is open. I want to remind everybody, or let everybody know, since it's not a reminder just yet, major thunderstorm behind the Canadian flag here. Major thunder and lightning storm. Had one flash so far. Hopefully we'll make it through the show. Hey, little Timmy Senor, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. Very much appreciated. It's a wonderful way to support what we do. Horns up. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have a power show for you tonight. Carl the Crusher takes us on a UFO trip to Utah. In hour 3, Swamp Dweller is back with another spooky story. Tim Senor returns with the UFO report. Shirky Poo will have the news. Now, if you aren't subscribed to this YouTube channel yet, you need to be. Carl the Crusher is the king of custom RC card, remote control, truck experiments, mods, and creations, the first of many viral RC custom builds and creative wheel inventions. But when he's not playing with his toys, he's searching and exploring the mysteries of the unexplained, following ancient clues to uncover hidden mysteries of ancient aliens, UFOs, Sasquatch, lost civilization, myths of giants. He's all over the board. And recently, he's taking his skills up to northeastern Utah. Yep, when not on the trail of UFOs, he's out camping, hiking, exploring, fishing, metal detecting, and of course, manicuring his lovely mustache and beard combination. Carl the Crusher, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time, my friend. How you doing?
Intro, man, because I love it. The energy and the vibe that you bring to the start of the show is like second to none. I don't know how you not get in like the best mood ever to come on here. I'm so pumped to be here, David. It's awesome.
Dude, you and I have actually been talking about this for about 8 months.
Yeah.
8, 9 months. I mean, I remember you reached out to me, and you know what? I feel bad because, and I owe you this apology because I was literally like, okay, who's this Carl Vibe guy, Carl Crusher? I don't really know. And, you know, time all of a sudden, when you're getting as many messages as I do a day, you kind of get lost in the shuffle. I'm like, oh, yeah, that Carl guy, he wants to do the show. We got to get him back on and get him on. And this happened over and over and over. And then finally, Terry Hall, I don't know if it was Terry or his power handlebar mustache, kicked my ass, and he was like, you better get Carl the Crusher on, man. He's doing some damn good things in Utah with Skinwalker Ranch, Blind Frog Ranch, and on his own YouTube channel, and you better get him on. So I was like, yes, Terry, yes. But I owe you an apology for that, because sometimes, I mean, you know, you're a busy guy with your own YouTube channel. You get caught up, and unfortunately that was completely my fault, so I owe you that.
Hey, no worry about it. And big shout out to Terry and Tim, and they're putting together a really cool rig in order to investigate the mysteries of the unknown and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to see what those guys are doing too, kind of behind the scenes. I think they're going to be up in Phenomicon same time as me, and I'm going to be exploring several hundred acres of land in between Skinwalker Ranch and 9 Mile Canyon, and maybe even going to Skinwalker Ranch and around there itself. But yeah, I've got a lot going on now. My life has kind of taken some interesting turns, and I've been invited to research some fascinating locations. So I'm just trying to do the right thing and tie my integrity to the truth and see what I uncover. And sometimes it's disappointing, and sometimes it just gives me a lot more questions.
Well, and that's the problem with the phenomena. The minute you open up a door, there's 10 more doors behind it. And then behind each of those 10 doors, there's another 10 doors each. And it keeps going and going and going. And it's frustrating at that part. We'll get into the woo and the whole science of everything as we move on to the show, because I'm very intrigued about what you have coming up in the Uintia Basin and your own research and studies. But for you, you really made it on YouTube, and not a lot of people can say that. And I think for a lot of us, like we're at 18,241 subscribers as of this show, and you're at 3.14 million. I mean, how did you figure that out? What made you get started in YouTube and try and bring this all together to where you are today, not only with an audience, but now taking it down a very sensitive level for a lot of people?
Yeah, I've kind of like grown up with my audience on YouTube in a lot of ways. I started in 2009, and it really started for more personal reasons. I was really overweight and working a job that I didn't like. I was doing social work and doing well at it, but I knew that it wasn't my path and what I wanted to do forever. And I thought, if I got a camera and I got on YouTube and I joined like some video weight loss competitions and made some friends, maybe it would get me out more. And I even had that conversation with my wife. Like, if I got a camera and started, doing video journals, maybe it will get me out of the house doing cool stuff instead of just sitting at home watching it. And I don't know about you, David, but I grew up listening to the radio and listening to sportscasters, and I was like filming and editing myself and doing pretend radio hosting, and like I was sportscasting a baseball, like the Chicago Cubs and all that stuff, and I would record it and everything. So I've been into it for a long time, doing independent filmmaking, and so it was natural for me to jump on YouTube. And so I started that, just making like fun videos with my family and doing like a weight loss competition. And what ended up happening is when the weight loss competition ended, I had like 3,000 followers and a lot of friends. And so we just kept going. And one thing led to another. And I was doing a lot of family content, remote control car stuff, different adventure things. I was actually doing like treasure hunt videos and exploring things with my kids, where I would make treasure maps for my kids and then film them. Cool. going metal detecting and looking for stuff and having a lot of fun. And a lot of our followers came from that success. We were doing sponsorships with everybody from Disney to Nickelodeon, all over the place. And as my audience grew up and my kids grew up, I had this opportunity a little over a year ago where I realized that I was living right in this area in southern Utah where we had moved to, that was surrounded with all this stuff that personally I was really interested in. I was watching Ancient Aliens on TV one day, and there was all these scenes that they were showing of these petroglyphs and carvings of these bizarre humanoid figures and anthropomorphic carvings from these ancient cultures. And it dawned on me that all of these carvings, a lot of them were very close to where I lived. And I was like, I've never known that. I didn't realize it was like right in my backyard. And so I decided I would go explore those ancient locations and start to look into that. And right. The closer that I got into those things, the more I got into the mystery. And next thing I know, I'm caught up into trying to understand what was going on in those ancient times and how it ties into the paranormal and even the UFO phenomenon. And now I'm doing a lot of parallel and collaborative work with Brandon Fugel and Skinwalker Ranch, and a lot of other places that are similar to spots that I have found. And so, yeah, it's been a very fascinating ride to get here.
Well, for you, what is your main interest in all of this? What's your fascination? Because I mean, there's thousands of YouTube channels on UFOs and paranormal phenomena and those people, 99% of the channels are struggling to get 500 followers, let alone having some big rig like yourself back on in and say, move over, boys and girls. Old Uncle Carl's going to take this over here. And I don't mean that in a bad way that you're bullying people. Please don't take it that way. But, channels on YouTube with bigger audiences have bigger flow. You've figured out the algorithms. You've figured out how it works. So, I mean, how do you go about this now without trying to rub anybody the wrong way and certify your own interest with your own research?
Yeah, honestly, that's a really good question. I think a lot of it just happened by default. If people really want to know the truth, like several years ago, I watched my dad struggle with dementia and pass away. And as he was going through that, it made me really reflect on my own life and what I was doing with my life and the direction that I was heading. And a lot of things came unraveled at that time. I ended up leaving organized religion, going through all of that. I went through like a divorce and a lot of things. And I really kind of went through this phase where I realized I was really tired of people lying to me. I wanted to know the truth in my life. I wanted to know what was real. And it also made me explore things. When I left organized religion, I got into different meditation methods and ancient meditation methods. And that came in line with doing the research with the ancient petroglyphs. And so like when Stephen Greer and these guys come up with CE5 and different methods of contact, I realized in a lot of ways I was already experiencing some of that stuff without knowing it. And so I started looking back through my life and my childhood, and I've had some interesting experiences growing up where, I would go to sleep in my room and have like sleep paralysis type incidents, or see shadow figures in my room, or wake up out on my balcony, almost locked out of the house or out of my bedroom and not know how I got out there. I had a shared dream experience with a friend of mine that was like kind of like an almost abduction experience that we both had and that we talked about for several months. And I still have asked him about that to this day. So I've had this whole line of experiences, and I just finally realized as a independent filmmaker doing YouTube that I had this opportunity now after going through a divorce to just really do what I was passionate about and try to find some answers to all of these big questions. And so I just like went for it. And I really took a big hit, honestly, when I switched away from doing kids content and family stuff with my wife and kids. And I just turned kind of away from that and rebranded my YouTube channel and decided I was going to do what I really loved. It really honestly has cost me a lot. It's been a total reset on my company and my filmmaking career, starting completely over. But honestly, it's been nothing but the best, because I feel like I'm closer to the truth and my own personal path and what I'm supposed to be doing than ever before. And so it's been worth it. And to me, like, yeah, I do as an independent filmmaker want to have success, and I like to make it a living, and I like to provide for my family and my kids. And with that comes better opportunities, like better equipment, being able to bring more people out to help me with research and all of that. And so I try to just funnel it all back in on itself, and it becomes a really amazing process where it all works together.
Has the UFO game and what you're seeing and finding out and learning brought the fun back into YouTube for you again?
Oh man, it's been a mixed bag, because a lot of the stones that I've turned over and the things that I found sometimes have been really discouraging or upsetting or terrifying, or I've realized yet again I've been deceived or lied to in some way, and so I've had to like still make sure that I surround myself with good people with the right intentions and the right integrity, and still go down that same path. But when it comes to like my filmmaking career and doing YouTube, realizing that I could do it all like on my own. Like I could just take my camera and my backpack and go out on an adventure and really capture it. I realized I didn't need like a whole film crew or a TV series or any of that. Like I had it all in me, and that has been really gratifying to kind of trust myself to, just get in my truck, drive up to Skinwalker Ranch, not even knowing if I can get in the gate or anything. And next thing you know, I'm there for a week on a whole big adventure and doing lots of stuff. And I just feel like I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And it's great.
Carl, one of the things that, people strive for is what you are doing and what you are the roads you have made in such a short time. How have you been able to gain the trust of so many people, whether it's Brandon Fugel or whether it's others around the Uinta Basin, that this relative newcomer can just come on in, shake a few hands, rub a few beard hairs together, and next thing you know, here you are, going on one of the most secure public-private areas that's non-military, and getting some very good scoops and getting some very good information that other people have taken years to get, and that maybe they still don't have it.
I have some interesting strategies. How I kind of got into the crowd up in the Uinta Basin was I actually sort of like broke some of their rules a little bit. And I don't want to encourage people to do that. I definitely don't. But how I met a lot of the people up at Blind Frog Ranch and around there was I went on a tour of Blind Frog Ranch, and as a YouTuber, they got very nervous that I was going to film a lot of stuff they didn't want me to film for the TV show. And that put me in touch with a lot of their lawyers and a lot of their producers and people from the organization. And I kind of intentionally put myself in that position strategically to be talking to all those people. And so when they were like, don't upload footage from our ranch, you're not supposed to be taking pictures there. I just was like, I know those rules are in place and those are laws. I just really wanted to talk to you guys about some of the things that I've been working on. And that kind of got their attention because I ended up making friends with a lot of people. And it wasn't like I was trying to rub people the wrong way or anything, but when they actually looked at what I was doing, they realized that it was in correlation with a lot of what they found. And with Brandon Fugel, what happened was my personal research that I was doing independently fit right in line with a lot of the stuff his team has been finding. And he wanted to pick my brain about the stuff that I was doing independently. Instead of like sitting at home just doing the research and kind of like looking at what other people were doing online, I decided to get out in the thick of it and put myself in these hot spots and experiment with a lot of these methods and do it in my own way. And I uncovered a lot of things. And I think what really cut through all of it was when I finally met a lot of these guys, especially like Brandon Fugel and them. They see right through the phoniness in a lot of ways. So when I'm not just there trying to get on TV. I'm not kissing his butt or anything like that. I'm literally challenging him a lot on things like, did you know about this? And what about that? And have you met this person? And I think that they're lying. And the fact that I've really relentlessly even kind of pushed at these people for the truth, they respect that. And I've found similar people like me that are doing the same. And so they don't care about the criticism. They don't really care about my approach to it. They just see that I'm a colleague that's like relentlessly pushing to try and find answers to this stuff. And so they aligned themselves with me and me with them. And we're trying to figure it out. So yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah, I get that, and I can appreciate that, because one of the things, like, I know a lot of the people that, this is a small world, and once you get a little bit of a name like we have or you have, these people, they'll take your call. And for me, I've always kind of been a little bit sheepish where I don't really call people because, I have no reason to go to the Uinta Basin. I have no reason to head to Area 51 outside of the photo shoot. Just the glam shot at the gate to say, hey, look where old Davey is.
That's literally what I did, Dave. I went up there, and the whole drive up there, I was questioning it. And even when I stopped over to fill it with gas in the truck, I was like, what am I doing? Am I going to just spend like 4 days up there sitting in my hotel, like all introvert and antisocial and not meet anybody? Is it going to be this thing where I have to pay like $50 to stand in line to just get an autograph? And, like I thought maybe this is a huge waste of money and time. And this was right when it was fresh going through my divorce and everything. So I was going through a lot, but I went up there and just went for it. And I went out on my own and filmed a few videos and went and explored some petroglyphs and kind of got my confidence under me. And when I went to the convention, I just started talking to people and, realized that they're real people. A lot of these guys, like, especially on the Skinwalker Ranch TV show, when you meet them in person, they'll stand there and talk to you, and they want to know what your experiences are. And they're really cool, likable people, off the TV show. Like Caleb Bench, he grew up in Idaho, about 45 minutes from where I grew up, and we both grew up camping with Skinwalker stories. So we had a lot in common. And, a lot of those guys are like brothers to me now. And so we just hit it off, and it was just a matter of meeting them and trusting myself,
Well, and sometimes it also goes to show that it's okay to take a chance. What's the worst that they're going to say? No.
Yeah.
And, and you won that over. Whereas a lot of people will be like, oh, no, I can't do that. I'm just this guy from Canada, or I'm just this person from New York or wherever. I can't do that. But you never know what could happen. All it takes is one conversation and you're in the door.
Yeah. And then, I left Phenomicon from that event, and I knew, okay, a lot of these guys are following me on Instagram now, and they're probably going to see my stuff. And so I was like, I have a year to really focus on my research and my work and really go for it here. And so that's what I did. And I ran into a lot of stuff, and so I'm still going. And now I'm up doing a lot of research at a place called the Mount Wilson Ranch, which is actually the predecessor to Skinwalker Ranch that Bigelow owned. And they researched, like Jacques Vallée and Hal Puthoff, and those guys were up in the canyons at Mount Wilson Ranch in Nevada doing the same experiments that you see on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where they were flashing lights and doing frequency testing, trying to make contact with another dimension or with extraterrestrials. The new owner of the ranch, Jeff, he told me that Bob Bigelow had an encounter in the night with a Native American ghost of a shaman that appeared to him and terrified him, and also that he thought that there was maybe an alien base in the mountains there. And it's right all full of Area 51 stuff. Everybody up there that I met, works there or used to work there. So fascinating place. So I'm doing a lot up there. There's even abandoned mine shafts and Native American artifacts all over the place. So there's a lot to do. We
got 1 minute to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Carl the Crusher is here on Spaced Out Radio tonight. You may know him from YouTube, and maybe you're one of his followers. If not, go hit that name and hit subscribe, because that always works. For you, is this the most fun you've had in a long time, getting into this and learning?
Yeah, I think meeting people and getting up to these locations has been a dream of mine. It's like getting as close to the edge of the mysteries of reality as you can get. I think when the phenomenon actually presents itself or manifests itself in counterintuitive ways, sometimes it's not as fun, especially when I go alone. It can get really terrifying. This idea of the hitchhiker phenomenon, where things follow you home and you have like a poltergeist effect in your home, is something that I'm familiar with as well. And that's not always fun. But for the most part, I would say that it's exactly what I signed up for and what I wanted to know and what I wanted to deal with and sort out. So, I'm right doing what I want to do.
Carl, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Carl the Crusher, YouTube sensation, learning all about UFOs, UAPs, which we don't say around here, Skinwalker Ranch, Paranormal, Supernatural. It is one hell of a great conversation coming up next on the Mighty SOR. That half hour was way too fast.
It felt fast.
just remember, our YouTube audience and podcast audience can hear us.
We're still going.
We're still going.
Rock on.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
What a great crowd in the chat here too. I'm watching the comments over here. It's awesome. Keep them coming.
Yeah, they're rolling, man. You get a lot. You're getting a lot of love in the chat room.
It's awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Not
Best
from everybody. I still have to block, my ratio. I block about 2 people a week, I'd say.
We're having a big problem with the bot trolls, that come on through and drop 4 or 5 ads every few seconds. I thought I had that nipped in the butt. I guess I am not. Oh, by the way, thank you to Mark letting us know we are alive tomorrow. I made it to another day. This is why I love having people in the future. I always know, Carl. I know when I'm going to die.
We know. We have a heads up. It's good to know.
Mm-hmm. There's Aunt Edna, there's a number of people who have been putting Carl's link up. If our wrenches could do that again, that would be absolutely wonderful. A lot of people already subbing to your channel, so we're adding some numbers to you, Carl.
Thank you.
I would ask them to do the same thing here, but they already have, so.
Well, I shared the link out, so hopefully some of my crowd's over here too.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, Paradigm Theories, how you doing? Good to have you back. And Blue Cruise, nice to see you again. Hope you had a great weekend. So, yeah, earlier in the show, you kind of were laughing when I mentioned the words emergency dink. That's my former brother-in-law's brother, who literally when he was a firefighter, had a shrine of himself in his house.
Of himself?
Yeah. So Duke from World Bigfoot Radio, I believe, nicknamed him the emergency dink because this guy bullied me quite a bit. It was weird because him and I were best friends. And then after I introduced him to his, now ex-wife, she was my best friend too. And I introduced them together and ever since I had introduced him, he just did everything to sabotage everything that I was doing. Right.
Yeah.
And hey, Mickle Pickle Toes, how you doing, buddy? In Australia there. Yep. Yeah, man's a YouTube channel on his own. That's just for his feet. But nonetheless, the emergency dink was formed. And I even sent Duke a picture of the emergency dink. And, and it was terrible. It was terrible. And the best part about it is I did not talk to him. I had my lines read out that if he would have came up to me and said, "Hey, how you doing, man?" The only thing I was going to say to him was, "It's been 24 years since you and I talked. Let's keep that streak going." And this didn't happen.
Best friend I ever had. Don't talk to me for another 10.
Yeah, well, we only have one more nephew, and we'll have to see if and when he gets married. But
$10 for my beard, dude. Thanks so much, man. Wow.
Uh-huh.
I just touched it up. I shaved my head. That's why I'm wearing the beanie, because I felt like my head was shining, like glowing on the top. Should I take the beanie off or leave it on?
We got to get you an SOR beanie.
Send me one, man. I'll totally wear it. I'll wear it on the show. It's coming into fall season, too. I'm a beanie guy all the way.
We'll get you some swag.
That'd be awesome. Well, you just bring it out. You're coming out around October, right? That's Secret Trip, right?
Yeah. Secret Trip is looking the September 30th to October 2nd.
Right. So I have stuff going on with James Keenan and a couple of other people up at Mount Wilson just after that. So we'll find a way to meet up, or I'll come down and hang out with you guys one way or another.
Everybody, Terry Hall has put in Carl's YouTube channel there, so make sure that you go copy that from Terry in the chat room, click on it, hit subscribe. We'd appreciate that. And yes, I do collect beards. I have 5 beards, including Joe Monk's Viking beard. It's in the studio. I will get that at the next break and show it off to you because I know Joe likes it when I show it off. And we got 15 seconds. Thank you to Tim, D. Cohen, Thomas, and Simon for the super chat. It's a wonderful way to support what we do. Let's get going second half hour right now, everyone. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. I got to laugh here because Holly makes a comment. You need a Nick Pope hair sample. I already have them. Let me just show you. I have some here that are holding my microphone cables together because Nick Pope's Velcro is the best that you can get out there. And I only want the best for Spaced Out Radio Studio. So it's only there's only 2 people in the UFO world that create that. Nick Pope and Joe Murgia. And those two, if they ever got stuck together, holy hell, are we in trouble, people? Are we ever in trouble? We'll never pry them apart. It's like that In Excess song, Never Tear Us Apart. Carl Vibe is here. Carl the Crusher. Go to his YouTube channel. Just type in Carl the Crusher. Hit subscribe. He's got over 3.1 million subscribers on YouTube as he shifts his focus from all these family videos into the woo, man. He's into the UFOs, the science behind it, the woo behind it, Skinwalker Ranch, hitchhiker phenomena, paranormal, supernatural. He's taking his time and he's chasing it on down. And we welcome you back, Carl, to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me here. It's been awesome.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on in and doing this. Okay, you're in Utah. How did you first learn about the Skinwalker Ranch, and what intrigued you? What pulled you towards it?
I grew up with Skinwalker stories as much as I did, if not more than Bigfoot and ghost stories, as well as like UFO stuff. It was all kind of a mix. And so when I went camping, it was like, have you heard of skinwalkers? And it was always the stories of skinwalkers. And I think it just kind of came with the area of Southeast Idaho, Northern Utah, and that whole environment, growing up near Native American reservations and a lot of that. And so I didn't really realize that there was an actual ranch until I started digging into a lot of trying to understand my own experiences and stuff. Because to me, it never seemed clear cut that the UFO phenomena was just nuts and bolts spacecraft. It seemed like my personal experiences and a lot of the people that I knew or have talked to, it had more of an integrated effect into their own sense of reality as a whole, into consciousness, into your dreams, into your sense of spirituality and everything, your awareness of your environment. It's hard to even describe how it can upend the ground under your own feet feels unstable in a way, almost like you've been the experiences are wild enough or upending enough, it can almost be like going on a hallucinatory trip that you didn't sign up for and then trying to put the pieces together and then talking to other people that have had the same kind of experience. And so I think it naturally, instead of getting caught up in the fanciful side of it, I went into the historical aspects of it. What was the common themes throughout ancient cultures, whether it was the Paiutes or the Anasazi, the Native American tribes, back to the Aztec or Easter Island in ancient Egypt and all these ancient cultures, and trying to see if there was like a common theme that seemed to indicate a level of truth to reality and what it means to be a human in reality and what that was. And so I started exploring that, and that's when it put me right in touch with the phenomenon more personally, and then led me right into Skinwalker Ranch and other people that were doing the research at a very high level.
Right. So for you, as you embarked on this and you had your own curiosity with it, had you ever experienced anything of the phenomena that really drove you to this? And if so, tell us about it.
I think the one that's most relevant to the work that I do now was I was, hiking in a canyon in a valley where there's these cliff walls where there's these ancient petroglyphs. And I was really drawn to this location and going there, trying to understand what the petroglyphs meant, because a lot of them seemed like they even had arrows pointing off of them, and they depicted almost a very supernatural event occurring, where it looked like portals opening and beings coming in and out and all kinds of fascinating stuff that didn't seem to fit the established story of what the petroglyphs were supposed to be about. And over the course of like a year going up to this place and sitting there looking for UFOs and all kinds of stuff, doing like regular paranormal investigating, a lot of like pseudoscience type stuff is what it would be considered. What ended up happening was I started having really fascinating and mind-blowing personal experiences. Like I would go and sit in front of the petroglyphs and just be like imagining, I wonder what it was like to live back in this time, and kind of meditating on that thought. And next thing you know, I'm like kind of waking up, sitting there, and the sun's gone down, and I feel like I've had this whole vision about this valley and the people that lived there, and like a supernatural encounter during the vision that felt almost like a total out of body experience that I went into and then came back from. And that really opened my eyes, like, wow, what is it with these places? Is there something to the geology? Is the magic real? Is what these ancient people were doing in their rituals, did it have something real that transcends time and space or other dimensions that they were tapping into? And so then I started getting more equipment like tri-field meters, radiation detectors, and all of that, trying to validate my experiences and trying to find other locations. And there are other locations and other people that have had those experiences that correlate. So just one thing led to another.
What is your goal in trying to find answers? Is it about solutions? Is it about seeing what you can connect with? What do you want out of this?
I think I want the truth, honestly. And I know that everybody says that, but I don't really care what that truth is, even if it upsets established, spiritual or religious ideas, or the whole UFO community gets upended. If it ends up being something completely different than we expect, what if it has to do more with like something to do with time travel that we don't get yet? Instead of being like disappointed, I am just like driven to figure out what it really is and what it is that's affecting humanity and what accounts for all of this throughout our history and culture that you see evidence of everywhere. I would just like to know what's behind it, because whether it's like the government hiding what the truth is, or if it is the phenomenon itself that likes to stay hidden for its own intentions or reasons, I want to know. I think it's fascinating to try and make contact. And instead of sitting around and just waiting, I kind of am the type of person that likes to, shove the locked doors open and see what's on the other side. And so I really just kind of want to know. I'm really curious. I'm just driven and curious to find out.
Well, for you though, do you expect answers? Because there's so many ways that you've even said already you're being tugged and wondering where to go with this. How do you control this? What do you do with this information?
Yeah, I think I'm learning that the answers are more paradoxical than I expected. Instead of getting to like a multiple choice answered conclusion where you're like, oh, it is this, they come from here and it's that. I think it's more paradox, where two things that seem like they're totally unrelated can both be true at the same time. For example, people often wonder, is it like an actual physical craft, or is it an actual entity, or is this just something happening in my mind? And are we capable of understanding that the phenomenon can be both at the same time? Maybe it is real, but it is dependent upon interfacing with our awareness and consciousness in order to know how to appear to us in some way. And so that can be very unnerving or difficult to understand, how seemingly disconnected or unconnected aspects of the phenomenon can actually be true, even though they seem totally disconnected or not true, or opposite. And so I think we have to understand that that's possible, our relationship to it, and also like how it interplays with us. A good example or a metaphor of that is, it's kind of like if you were dreaming at night and then you realized that you were in a dream, and you started trying to piece together, okay, what in the dream is made of me and my own consciousness and my own psychic manifestations, making a room and other people and an environment that I'm walking around in, and how much of this dream is actually outside myself, because it seems like I'm not really creating it. And when you start exploring that, that's very similar to trying to explore the phenomena. How much of it is coming from our own human expectations and subconscious interfacing with the phenomenon, and how much of it is actually there and happening. Like, because you can have this effect where you're in these areas where I like to call it like Skinwalker fever, where you can get in a group of people where every dust particle in a photograph is suddenly an orb of an entity, and every little twig that snaps in the dark is a werewolf or a ghost, and there's a level of it that can like kind of take over a group and create like a frenzy where people are amplifying what's really going on. And so I'm interested in all aspects of that. And that's part of why having a good group of people around you that will level you out and keep you based in the truth and using scientific equipment, but still staying open and intuitive and sensitive to your awareness and levels of your consciousness as you go into things too. So I think it's a mix of all of it.
That is very cool. Carl the Crusher is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Carl, as you have developed these friendships around the Blind Frog Ranch and Skinwalker Ranch, you've heard all the rumors about everything that's going on there. I mean, we all have. But have you seen anything that you can talk about that just blew your mind or can confirm the rumors that we've heard? Or when you go there, do you have to sign an NDA?
Oh, that's a tough one, Dave. Yes, I've had to sign some paperwork and things. I can say this. I find it important when it comes to Skinwalker Ranch to separate the different eras of research from when Bigelow owned the ranch and when Brandon Fugel took it over, are two completely different approaches, and ways of even trying to analyze the data and approach the phenomena is completely different. I would say Brandon Fugel's approach is way more scientific. It's equipment based. It's collaborative, more open source based. I mean, he's trying to put it on TV. He's got internet stuff going on. He's letting his crew go on podcasts and talk. He's trying to be really open. And I think the Bigelow era is very interesting and shady and a lot more experimental. And I have a lot of questions about how much of that, was suggested ideas that became whole stories and how much of it were real events. But I will say that there is things that I have discovered in my own research that fit right in line with what is going on and with what my colleagues have found and are finding at Skinwalker Ranch. There is a gravitational, some kind of an anomaly that creates a lensing effect that moves transient around that location. I think for some strange reason, it focuses on the ranch in that area, but it also moves around. And we've been exploring everything from the underground tunnel systems to caves and mines, abandoned mine shafts that run throughout the area, and all the way into the history and where it could tie into other locations that are relevant. And so it's still a big puzzle, but I would say that there is definitely a lot of compelling stuff going on there. How much of it is effects of human experimentation versus the actual phenomenon itself is really hard to sort out in the previous eras. That's all I can say about that, though.
That's very politically correct, just so you know. Very politically correct. I have to give you a hard time on that, though.
Yeah, it's tough.
No, but let me ask you this, though, and I apologize for cutting you off, but there's a reality to dealing with these places. They are locked down to whatever they're locked down to for their research, and they can't have every Carl the Crusher or other celebrity who goes out there. There's been a number of celebrities who've gone out to Skinwalker Ranch. They can't have them explaining what they saw or said, because that could derail research. It could derail funding, the scientific aspect, the science that is being conducted.
Yeah, it's even areas that I research that are open. I still a lot of times will try to kind of protect the location, just because I know that there's ancient artifacts laying all over the place that I don't want pillaged or ruined and people trouncing on. And so there's a lot of different reasons for how to approach it. And I can't speak for other people or even defend how, bringing celebrities onto the ranch or doing all of that. There's different aspects to marketing. If Post Malone wanted to go hiking with me, I totally would do it too. I'm not going to say no, just because it would be a fascinating experience to see what would happen. I don't know, but I don't know if that's like contributing effectively to the research per se. I don't know. So it's fine. The good thing about like Brandon is that you can pose that to him, like, what are you doing bringing Post Malone there? And he'll be like, you're probably right, and he's not afraid of those questions, and he'll push back and answer them. And that's refreshing, as opposed to people just lying and hiding about everything, but it is fascinating that there is a lot of real research. Like, nobody knew that the UAP task, Travis was working there, the whole time, right alongside everybody, until that was announced, and what that means and how it all ties in with other people around the ranch. I don't know. There's a lot of questions, and even the people working there, I think, still have them. So I stay cautious, I stay right up close to it, and, I trust people, but also everybody plays everything close to the chest, and we're also very careful, and we know that we're close to a game that goes all the way to the Pentagon. And so we're very careful.
No, that's very true. And, for you, I mean, you have your own purpose for doing this, but we don't really have an understanding of the purpose of what Brandon Fugel is doing at Skinwalker Ranch. He spent multi-millions of dollars investigating the paranormal and the supernatural. I know you probably know some of that. I know that some of that you probably can't speak of because it's been private conversations. But in your own mind, in your own words, what's the purpose of this all?
I honestly think that it's the most qualified, organized group of people to look into the phenomenon, especially when you extend and realize that the team goes beyond just the ranch. There are people from previous eras like Chris Bartell and other people around in the research, like I said, that go all the way up to very high level, that are still involved in it and that are trying to answer all of those questions. Just like I've been saying, how does it tie together from the UFO phenomenon, seeing something like a flying saucer or tic-tac like thing or an orb, to how that is affecting you. And when you realize that there's people working around that you almost never even see, like Jim Segala and Michelle Miners, they have sensor equipment placed throughout the basin and even around all over, where if somebody has an experience, there's sensors that they wear on their person and that they place in their home, and they even have them around in the community, so that if and a lot of people don't know this, so that like if a UFO or some object flies over in the sky, they can actually kind of track where that anomaly moved. And then people can get on an app in the community and report that and say what happened. And you can track a path. And they're doing that kind of research at a very high level. Outside of just the TV show, there's a lot of real people that live there and people who have been affected by the phenomena that are trying to live with it, that want answers. And so I think when he bought the ranch, he calls it like a stewardship. And so he tried to put together a team to help solve those problems in an actual affected community. And now it's tied into the whole like UFO community and everybody who's dealt with it. They want answers. And for some reason, a lot of it seems to be focused around the certain hot spots, and specifically because there's been government money spent to try and solve those questions there.
Well, I mean, the big question is, what are they doing with the answers? They're getting information. What are they doing with it? Who are they turning it over to? And a lot of that we will never know. It could be the alphabet agencies, could be the U.S. government, could be the military, could be Lockheed, it could be Raytheon or whomever. We'll never know what those deals are, nor do I think we should. That's private business and private enterprise. That being said, there's a lot of mysteries that we have going on in life, as we got about 3 minutes to go before the break at the top of the hour. Carl Vibe is our guest. Are those mysteries being pursued? I'm thinking life after death, life out in space, time travel. All right. You've had a firsthand look.
They're all of those things are being discussed, and nobody is shying away from them. I think the days where those types of conversations used to be compartmentalized and specialized based on who you were talking to where you had to pick your conversation and tailor the topic around that. Now you can sit at the table with very high level people or people at all different levels and aspects of the research and have a very open, real conversation. And nobody is shifting their jargon. Nobody is batting an eye at jumping from talking about UFOs to paranormal encounter to an out-of-body experience to meditation and chi and the chakras. And there's no skipping a beat going from any of these integrated topics to try and solve it. And so I think that's really refreshing to me that's happening. And so what they're doing with it is they're looking at the data from all angles, which is part of why I'm being brought in there as well, is because there are ancient things at like Skinwalker Ranch and around in some of this that may be correlated to the phenomenon, tied directly into it. And so that have been completely overlooked over seasons of the show that tie into the ancient rituals that could have been done there that may have tapped into or amplify the appearance of these things. And so all of that seems to correlate. And so as they uncover a new piece of data or a new piece of evidence, it's like, how can we understand this from how many different angles? And that's kind of the approach. And then it's just narrowing that in until we sort of the technology and the team catches up with the phenomenon and really gets some solid evidence.
Well, one of my complaints with Skinwalker Ranch, and I've talked to Brandon Fugel about this, is the fact that they are not getting into the experiencer game yet. His idea of experiencers is what the scientists have experienced there, rather than bringing in people who have been inundated with the phenomena maybe since childhood or maybe since adulthood, but at a continued frequency. And I would love to see him do that. I would love to see him delve deeply into that, because I honestly believe there's enough quality people out there that could bring literally some serious experience to that Skinwalker Ranch and the Uintia Basin, stuff that they may have never seen before, or have had happen. But hey, that's another conversation for another day. We have Carl the Crusher here for another hour on Spaced Out Radio. 3.1 million subscribers on his YouTube channel, saying that he can't be doing anything too wrong when it comes to this subject. We're going to talk UFOs, more of the Uintia Basin when we return for hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio. All right. I'm going to just step away for a minute. I'm going to put you in the green room. I'll be right back. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Unless you want to chat with the audience, because I know you're reading.
You can leave me here if you're. That's fine. Is anybody in the comments or whatever? We can just talk. Anybody want to know the history of Mount Wilson or any of that?
Yeah.
Whatever.
We'll open it up to Carl. You guys can ask your questions. Put them in capital letters for Carl, and I'll be right back.
Okay, I'm hanging out.
Carl, you're the big picture now.
I got the full screen. So thanks everybody for coming over to the show. Dave's so awesome, you guys, right? So cool. Okay, I'm going to try and keep up and look at some of you guys. Time dilation makes human civilization irrelevant. Oh, that's Jason. Time dilation is an interesting topic that gets discussed a lot. The idea that these spots like Skinwalker Ranch and some of these other places have anomalies in space-time to where when you walk in them, something happens to your brain, or an adaptation occurs, or there's a geological effect, or the phenomenon has a side effect to it to where it dilates or warps or bends space-time in a way to where you get a glimpse into the past or the future or some alternate window of reality. So you get this whole slew of supernatural types of things that occur. And that seems to correlate directly into your own subconscious. So for example, like if you're counterintuitive to you, like if you're feeling fear or apprehension, that seems to sort of fill in the gaps to the appearance of the phenomenon and how it affects you. But super interesting. Enzo asks if I've ever felt in danger while filming at a location. So just recently, like last week, I wouldn't say that I felt in danger, but this is the most recent incident that happened, was up at Mount Wilson Ranch. And it wasn't even in a location that's full of like some interesting stories. There is history of people seeing a man and his dog, like a ghost of a man and his dog. There's so many stories about Mount Wilson Ranch, the predecessor to Skinwalker Ranch that Bigelow owned. They did a bunch of research up there, same kind of stuff. But there's this one location where the old stagecoach used to pull up, and cowboys, pioneers, the old miners and stuff used to ride the stagecoach into town. And so there's a lot of like paranormal encounters and stuff there. And me and this other guy, Adam, who, hangs out up at the ranch and helps research and search the property, we were walking through one of the rooms, and he went ahead of me, and I was filming in this other area. And I haven't got to this part on my YouTube channel yet. I haven't uploaded it yet, but I did get it on camera. And I was walking around the corner while I was filming. And as I turned the corner, I thought that Adam was playing a joke on me. And I thought that he had hid behind a stack of mattresses in the corner from this like motel that wasn't being used. So as I turned the corner, somebody ran up behind me like they were going to push me in the back. And I felt something push me in the back and like this wave go through my body and come like out through my face. It felt like spider webs, like boom, like this rush of energy. And I jumped scared and turned around like, dude, don't do that. Not cool. And I turned around and there's nothing there. And then I turned back around and he steps around the corner, and he had been in the bathroom and been ahead of me. He wasn't behind me at all. And he stepped out and he was like, dude, I wasn't going to say anything, but did you feel that when you came around the corner? And I was like, yeah, man. And he said, it felt just like I walked through this wave of cobwebs of this energy. And then I walked around the corner and it felt like something came up and tried to shove me in the back. But, and then that night I slept in the same room where Bob Bigelow supposedly had slept, and had this shadow figure appear next to his bed of the ghost of this shaman that they were up there trying to make contact with Jacques Vallée and all these remote viewers from Stanford, from the Stanford Research Institute. So that same night, I slept in that same room after having that experience with Adam and doing a lot of stuff like around the property and everything. And all night, it was till probably 4:30 in the morning. Every time I would fall asleep, it felt like I was going to fall through the bed. Like like when you're falling asleep and you feel like you're going to fall out of a chair. It was like that all night. And then every time I would wake up, I felt like somebody was watching me, and then I would roll over and look, and there's just nobody there. But as far as like feeling in danger, only ever been like very scared and been alone, and then had to do like really long, creepy walks through the forest at night. The most in danger I ever felt was in Northern California with a shadow figure encounter that was like a Bigfoot encounter that half of the camp that was with us was so scared they left and went home. They didn't even stay till the morning. But that was pretty wild too. But yeah, good question.
I'll get you to cut it off right there. Thank you to our audience, and thank you for doing that, Carl.
Of course.
Really do appreciate it. I had to get my other dog in here too, because he gets all worried about the other guy.
Mine's down here at my feet right now too.
But thank you to the Doug Shelby, Twigbird, Ange, Dry Toast, Simon, Thomas, D. Cohen, and Tim for the super chats. We very much appreciate the love and support. Hi, Thurston Howell III. Aiden, welcome back. Grant Tavius, good to have you here. Remember, the super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show each and every night. So thank you so much. And we're going to get going with hour 2 right now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Salmagundi. Salmagundi is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go with hour number 2 of the show, and Carl the Crusher is here. You may have seen him on his own YouTube channel. You're maybe one of his 3.1 million subscribers who are looking at his change in direction going into UFOs, Skinwalker Ranch, the Uintia Basin. And Carl, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you here tonight.
Thanks so much, Dave. Yeah, it's been awesome. You got a great crowd in the chat here on YouTube too.
Well, we try. I mean, there's a couple of oddballs in there, Doug Shelby, Joe, Thurston, you got to watch out for them. You got to watch out for them, but that's okay.
Watch your back.
They mean well. But let's get right into it. What is it about the Uinta Basin that just brings not only fear, but mystery and suspense to everyday human life?
Dave, it ties directly into an oral tradition that goes back thousands of years, that the more you look into it, the more strange and mysterious that it gets. And every time that you try to look at it from any which angle, it gets more intriguing and kind of validating. And certain interesting government organizations seem to also agree. And that's evident if you go clear back into the ancient culture. I mean, I'm getting ready when I go back up for Phenomicon to go with my cousin and a private group to go look at a petroglyph carving of a paleo man apparently throwing a spear at a woolly mammoth. Some of these findings that you can come across can rewrite the established timelines of history. And you get this feeling when you're up there around these petroglyphs or pictographs. There's fossilized dinosaur bones that don't make any sense. There's sea turtles fossilized up in the mountains up there that indicate ancient waterways and stuff that were connected to the ocean. There's indication that the Aztec were up there mining for gold. The legends of the Siteka, which was the giant people that were giant red-haired cannibals that would go and catch the native people that lived in the area and eat them, and then they went to war with them. The stories go on and on and on. And so if you're into the ancient history or the mysteries, the petroglyphs, any which way you look at it, it's going to blow your mind. And then when you get up there and look at what's going on now and the current research into the paranormal phenomenon and the UFO topic and how that ties in and might correlate with those ancient dwellings and why people were there, then it gets really interesting. You think maybe this has been going on since the beginning of time, and the story that we've been told about our history is drastically different. And a big part of that is that I think that there were people on the American continent way before people say, and way before the established timeline. And back during those days, it was much stranger than they admit and what we realize.
So the idea that this goes back centuries, if not millennia, I mean, the idea is that there are skinwalkers running around or humanoid beings, whether it's alien, whether it's, from the past or maybe from the future, whether it's paranormal, supernatural. You have been given a very, very hard crash course that the phenomena is all in one. It is not paranormal. It is not ufological. It is not cryptid. It just seems to blend together with absolutely everything. And yet, if you look around the fields that we are associated with, there seems to be a very difficult time in many researchers believing that understanding. For you, as you move your research forward, how do you continue to build the bridge between all of the pieces that build the phenomena?
A lot of what I'm doing is really presenting in a new way and how it correlates with what's going on now to research that's already been done and has been written about. I relate a lot to the works of John Keel. John Keel, he's most notably known for the Mothman prophecies, and he went and kind of broke that case and was the journalist there that whole movie was based on. And he wrote the book, The Mothman Prophecies, but he also, a lot of people don't know this, but he wrote several books, one of which was called, let's see, what was it called? The Seventh Tower, like Ultra Terrestrials and the Super Spectrum or something like that. And that book really, really impressed me because it kind of put the tapestry together in a lot of ways, and it opened my eyes to a greater theory behind all of this. And John Keel, one of his big points was that beyond the edge of our awareness, there's this edge of our physical senses. Like we can only see the colors of the rainbow, and we can only hear to a certain tone of frequencies. And for a lot of us, as we get older, that just gets worse and worse. But beyond that is this entire super spectrum of reality and even other dimensions of reality that exist and could be inhabited by consciousness or energies that we don't understand, and that they can potentially come into our physical reality and our awareness. But when they do so, our consciousness kind of fills in the gaps and paints a picture based on our default mode. So if we're raised in this folklore or a fear that has certain connotations, you might see a werewolf or a skinwalker where someone else might see an alien gray or a Bigfoot or a Mothman, and how the phenomenon manifests itself might be more like entering dreamland or a dreamscape where your own psyche and your own subconscious sort of helps the phenomena fill in the gaps and appear to you or manifest in a way, which is why I'm curious as to why a lot of UFO abductions and the stories, when you really read about them, they correlate a lot with people seeing dead relatives or ancestors or people, their grandpa who passed away right there on the spaceship along with the aliens. That happens a lot. And you wonder why that is, and if it has something to do with how the phenomenon just presents itself based on how it looks into your mind and how you perceive reality in a way that we don't know. So I think that's really fascinating to me.
Okay, you bring up something very interesting because, you mentioned werewolves, which a lot of people equate with Dogman. And you mentioned other creatures that are out there that people are seeing and having experiences with. Do you think it's an individual experience then that people are having? So you and I could be standing there. I see a Sasquatch. You're seeing something completely different?
I think that can be the case. Imagine if there is a spectrum of reality and we're all kind of standing, if there's like 5 or 6 of us and we're standing on a hillside. Imagine that we're swimming in an ocean of different frequencies and signals or dimensions of reality or things that are occurring around us. And each and every one of us has our own antenna tuned into a particular signal of reality. And then when you get into things like meditation or CE5 or go to these hot spots where there's anomalies or a distortion in the way reality actually works, then things, kind of can get distorted or out of line, where suddenly you're perceiving or getting a glimpse into these edges or spectrums of reality that normally you would not be able to see. And then your brain sees what normally would be camouflaged per se, or what would fall off the edge of your visual spectrum. Suddenly your consciousness, that aperture opens up just enough and you see it and you catch a sight of it, but it seems unusual or paranormal in a sense to where you can't quite put your finger on what exactly happened. And that seems to be fairly consistent. And so the question is how much of that is really physically actually there? And so that's when it gets interesting, is when more than one people see it, or when there's actual physical evidence or scientific evidence left behind that can be double checked or validated, or when there's multiple witnesses. It's one thing to like have a sleep paralysis episode, to feel like you're like taken out of your body into this alternate side dimension of reality and having encounters with other entities. But it's another level if a whole group of people experience that. And then another level if people experience that while they're awake during the daytime on a hillside, or a whole school in South Africa has experienced the same experience. So suddenly you have to question like what's really going on. And it's not just in our heads. It's a paradox that relates to our consciousness, but doesn't explain it all. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm trying to cover a lot of ground.
You do to me because I've had it happen.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had it happen on a Sasquatch adventure on my friend's property. And this is going back to 2013. But for those who may not understand, basically what you're saying is, in English terms, you could have a group of 5 people. 3 of those people could see the exact same thing. 2 aren't going to see anything.
Yeah.
And it's about how the phenomena reacts to people, or the people it chooses in order to allow it to see it. It amazes me. Why do you think? So let me ask you this regarding it. Why do you think the phenomena picks and chooses who can see and who can't? Because I know when it happened to me in our Bigfoot adventure, there were 2 out of the 4 of us who could not see the pixelation standing beside a tree that went up 8-10 feet high. And they only believed us, other 2, when we got 30 seconds later, walked to the front of the house, and we got roared at from that position.
Right.
Okay. I've never seen 4 people have goosebumps and be, that scared that quickly. And I was one of them, so why do you think the phenomena picks and chooses?
I think a lot of times that, we assume that, again, I think it's a little bit of both. Some of it could be that the phenomena is picking or targeting, or that in the same way, like a hypnotist is able to see in a crowd who's more susceptible to their tricks or whatever. It could be something that simple to where do you remember back in like in the 90s there was this whole thing that went around where there was these magic vision or magic eyes posters or something. I can't remember if that's what they were called, but they just looked like fuzzy pixels, right? But if you stood there and looked at it and kind of crossed your eyes funny, then suddenly like you would realize, oh, it's like dolphins or whatever.
The stereograms.
Oh yeah, that's what they're called. Yeah, and so you look at them, and then you have to like adjust the way that you're looking, almost in your brain, and then suddenly like a 3-dimensional, almost holographic image appears in the flat pixels. And I almost feel like it's something to do with that, Dave, where like you're sitting there, and as you're perceiving, some people are going to be closing down, like nope, 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 and other people are opening up and being very quiet and going very more internal, like a meditative flow state. And I think depending on where you're tuning your signal, you might tap into the same frequency that the phenomena is putting out, and then you're going to pick up a stronger experience or actually perceive it. And so I really find that's why these things, like people experimenting with different forms of CE5 to make contact, has varied effects, is because it's still experimental. How come one person using certain tones and frequencies and a certain type of meditation seems to have a lot of encounters and experiences, where other people go out there and are just frustrated? And it's seriously, a lot of it has to do with your intentions and how the phenomenon responds counterintuitively to intentions. In the same way, again, like when you're in a dream or a nightmare, you can be thinking, boy, I really hope that a monster doesn't come up and get me. But even in your hoping it doesn't happen, you're putting out a vibration or a frequency or a psychic energy that perpetuates it, and you're going to get chased by the monster. Even when you're like, I hope it doesn't, just in thinking of it, it manifests. And so I almost wonder if the phenomena sort of is responding in the similar way, and it's just counterintuitive enough that we don't quite get it. And so some people see it, and the person right next to you has no idea and doesn't see it at all. So we're still trying to figure that out, because some people seem like they're very tuned in, and they can get in an environment and they'll sense things and have encounters. And then other people claim that they have that ability and they're totally full of it, and they're just running around snipe hunting a lot, and I've encountered that too. So I think it's interesting just to see why some people seem to lock in or be in the right tune, or their frequency is dialed in when the other people are just having a fear response, and they just become blind to it, and they just don't focus in the same way.
Well, and that's a great explanation. That's a great way to put it, and I appreciate you doing that. Okay, so the idea that there is evidence out there, we believe, if we could take the words of people like government officials and Luis Elizondo, Chris Mellon, that there is UFO debris out there. We may have craft. They haven't come out and showed us. They haven't come out and said where they're hiding it. They haven't come out and shown us pieces yet. But there's more than enough people saying that it's out there without having to go down the Bob Lazar road. How do you feel about the idea, Carl, that here we are working hard towards trying to find these mysteries, and the mysteries may already be solved, but just haven't been generated in the public yet?
Oh yeah. If you ask me and a lot of the people that I know, the phenomenon is real. UFOs are a real thing. But I think at the same time, just as much, people would be shocked at how much, people on the inside in these government programs and these agencies know how much we have and how long we've had it and how long we've known about it. The question that I have is the legitimacy of a lot of the public figures. And, if a lot of these like recovered fragments and stuff go back to the TTSA, to the Stars Academy, and that same kind of circle of interesting people that came out of Stanford, I don't know. Like, I really think that it's important that we continue to question where these things came from, the sources, and connect the dots to who all these people are and where it's coming from. Because, like, how many people are saying, oh yeah, this is government recovered crash fragments and stuff, but really it's a lot of stuff coming out of like Bigelow's private collection that he likes to leak to particular people. We just don't know yet. And so I think I'm still, while I'm optimistic, and I do say, and I do think that we have a lot of stuff, especially in the secret programs, I think the real important stuff is probably in these high level corporations, these black project corporations that are trying to reverse engineer it, and probably have been for a long time. I would say probably since World War II, we've been puzzling over stuff that we've found since then, and probably even going to look for relic and recovered artifacts and objects that correlate to indigenous cultures and belief systems throughout the world. And I think there's evidence for that as well. Groups and organizations going around trying to find ancient artifacts that are otherworldly as well. And I find that just as compelling.
Well, I do too. The idea behind it, though, is, I don't know what to think anymore. I really am struggling with my own division regarding UFOs, the phenomena. I do believe it's all real. I just don't know at this point why we're being played. And that's my biggest frustration with everything. So we got about 3 minutes to go here before the break. Are you frustrated with the idea, as you come down the rabbit hole a little bit more with your own channel? Are you frustrated by being played? We're told all this stuff is there. I mean, I have been harping now for about 4 months on NASA talking about getting into the UFO game. When, damn it, they've been there the whole bloody time.
Yeah.
And playing us for fools. And for me, I find myself reiterating conversation and still getting quite upset about it.
Yeah. The part that upsets me the most is because a lot of friends of mine that are close friends of mine have actually been subjected to things like MRI scans and brain scans associated with contact with the phenomenon, potentially because they were part of programs where they were almost used as a human biosensor or a human guinea pig. And stuff like that upsets me, because if disclosure, and part of why disclosure hasn't really come out and why they play this little shell game like, oh, well, now we're going to tell you, when they've really known the whole time. It's like, I think a lot of that is because what we're going to learn is going to be upsetting. That what they've known and why they've hidden it is probably going to upset a lot of people. It's not going to be like, hooray, the aliens are here and they want to give us all their knowledge. It might be something very disturbing that a lot of people are going to be mad about, the way that their government or certain groups compartmentalized or contracted from the government to look into this, how they handled it and how people were affected by that. If there was, imagine if for like close to a decade, you were part of a program and you didn't realize that you were used to try and be bait for UFOs, and you didn't know it. And you had effects and hitchhiker phenomenon and health effects and people studying you like a pincushion, and you had no idea why. And then all of a sudden disclosure starts to come out, and you see Gary Nolan showing these brain scans on Fox News, and you're like, hey, that's my brain scan, and you're going to have a lot of questions, and I do too. And so I think a lot of people still need to stay vigilant and not just act like the people that are bringing the disclosure forward are all just heroes and always going to tell us the truth. We need to stay vigilant.
Do you see why, and we'll continue your answer when we come back from break, but do you see why people are frustrated? They're mad. They don't believe photographs. They don't believe videos unless it's their own. They're tired of the Brandon Fugels, the Lou Elizondos, the Chris Mellons, and the Bill Nelson saying, hey, this stuff is out there. You should see it, but we can't show it to you. Or we want to tell you, but we can't. We want to give it to you, but we got NDAs. And by the way, don't come to our property. Don't ask us questions, because we're not going to be able to give you any answers either. I mean, this circle of runaround is getting ridiculous as this topic becomes more popular indeed. Carl, we'll get your response to that when we return. We have Carl the Crusher for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. What a great show. This one's flying on by. Can't believe we're already halfway done. Spaced Out Radio continues with UFO talk with Carl the Crusher right here on Spaced Out Radio. Next. There we go. That's good stuff so far.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's interesting questions. They're big questions. I'm like, wow, that's like a big bite to chew.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what?
It's good.
And trust me, dude, I am getting sick of sounding repetitive to our audience, and I'm sure there's a number of them are like, shut up, Dave. Go down a different road. Bring us some woo or whatever. But literally, we need more people in this field to be mad.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking go on your own YouTube channel or your own blog or your own and just start naming names and swearing and cursing and, get off my lawn type of talk. I'm saying we need people to get mad to start calling some of these people out and saying, look, stop telling us what we should see but aren't allowed to see. Give us the goods. Bill, I mean, it's very simple. When I see people on Twitter getting, cheering on Bill Nelson or on Facebook cheering on Bill Nelson, I confront them with it and I say, no, don't. He's part of the problem. They've got 65 years at NASA.
Yeah.
Like they need to look in their own closet.
Yeah, it's like we're going to sit here and accept that they spend the amount of money that they do on these programs, and then they turn around and say, we don't know. It's like, come on. They know what they do know, and what they're saying. Well, what studies have you done to reach the conclusion where you're saying you don't know or whatever? They're not even releasing any of that, and but I think a lot of that is about to change. I just hope it's not another level of deception. I've even gotten to a point where I was a little bit jaded because when you get close to this, you realize that a lot of the people that are highly qualified to maybe look into this topic are also very suspicious in the ethics of the way that they approach the research. And these are not people at the forefront. I'm not talking about Brandon Fugel. I'm talking about certain shady characters that seem tied into this that go clear back to the 1960s in these weird organizations. And they're still hovering around a lot of these projects, and it makes you wonder. So you're right. This is exactly why I get frustrated. And instead of like just waiting for these big agencies to tell me the truth, or for any organization, it's like when we started this show, like I was saying, I just got sick of being lied to, and I just got all my own gear, got my own stuff in the backpack, and I started going out and trying to look for myself and putting myself right at the gate and right at these places, and kind of, breaking some rules a little bit to get their attention. And when they're not giving me the time or access to these locations, I'm going all around them. Part of it with Skinwalker Ranch is like super difficult because you're talking about a property that is right in the middle of like a Native American reservation. And so having people hovering around there and swarming around that place is a problem for the locals, and the people in the community that are already don't like a lot of what's going on there. And so having it become like a tourist thing, where a bunch of researchers are descending in the basin it's like a give and take, where it's like good for the economy, but not for everybody living there, So yeah, again, it's like a paradox of like, how do you do the job, but you can't make everybody happy and do it. And it's complicated, but yeah,
It
we'll
pretty
see.
much is. The sad part about it is you have a handful of people, and I said this on one of my Dave 101s the other day. You have a handful of people on this planet that are playing with the lives of 7.75 billion.
Yeah.
That's scary. And when you cheer on people like Bill Nelson, I'm not saying Bill Nelson's evil. I'm just picking on him right now. When you cheer on Bill Nelson and others saying, great, NASA's on board, we needed NASA, then obviously you haven't done your homework on seeing how dirty NASA has been on the UFO subject when they've had sightings and had their rockets followed since Gemini.
Yeah.
And have denied their own astronauts that they paid millions upon millions of dollars each to train, who are the best of the best of the best. Okay. And you've denied them the ability to speak on their encounters.
Yeah. They haven't even been allowed to speak about it. And it's kind of been interjected and embedded even into our culture. And a lot of people have accepted it just to make fun of anybody who talks about it. And a lot of that, luckily, is starting to shift. I think it's just like it's a slow burn. The internet is affecting a lot. Everybody podcasting.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciated your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. Go over there and check out the features we got for you. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag. We got a bunch more on there as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go. Carl the Crusher is here. Right before the break, I asked you a pretty deep question regarding, people are sick and tired of videos. They're sick and tired of photographs. They're sick and tired of being told, you should see this, but we can't show you. And everybody wants to be in denial, Carl. And there's 7.75 billion people on this planet, and this entire phenomena is being controlled by a handful, namely in the United States. What is going on here, man? What is your reaction to this?
To me, my reaction is to quit waiting for some other organization or anybody else to give me the answers, to get my own equipment and go look for myself and to go try to explore it. Because if the phenomena is there, it's not going to be following the rules of the government. People say, why doesn't it just land on the White House lawn? Why not my backyard? What does it care about the difference between the White House or an ancient location where contact has been made before? So why don't we push the edges of those theories and quit waiting for other people? That's been my approach. Form my own collaborative team, get my own equipment, look at the ancient esoteric methods and the current ones that are coming out that seem to have been used by the government itself and these different organizations, and then apply that to myself and go out and be unafraid and go explore it myself. That's how I've approached it. And also to go right up there. And if, it's one thing to sit and hear stories about Skinwalker Ranch and to get the book Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. It's another thing to drive up there and to go around with people who used to work there and knock on doors and visit with the people where those stories come from and put the facts together for yourself and then to try and bring it out, and then on the other side to make sure and protect those people so you don't ruin their lives at the same time in the same process. So for me, I just quit waiting for other people to give me the answers and I start trying to seek it for myself. If you're waiting for other people, you are going to get frustrated and annoyed. I think I'm looking at what those people are doing and trying to do it myself. Like everything that Brandon Fugel's doing, good for him. I'm also just as much working with Chris Lato. We're getting our own Sky 360 systems together, and we're going up to Mount Wilson Ranch, and we're putting our own sensors up to look for UFOs. We're doing our own investigation into the phenomenon. We're not going to wait around for the government to bring us the evidence. We're trying to get it ourselves, so that's been my approach. Other people can get mad and try to petition the government to change, but you're just going to be, throwing rocks at a big slow tortoise, in my opinion. They're just going to do things on their own time, in their own way, and for defense purposes, to keep their strategic advantage and for no other reason.
And that's exactly it. It always comes down, like we've told our audience before, to the military-industrial complex. Jonathan, who is a former guest here and just a great key sense of information, says Brandon Fugel said to us a few days ago, disclosure won't come from the government DOD. It's down to private individuals and teams. Do you believe he's right?
Yeah. I know, like, the gravity anomaly that they are researching at Skinwalker Ranch is part of a collaborative effort that has been zeroed in on from people that are not even completely on the TV show. A lot of the people that are researching a lot of that are private individuals doing it on their own dime because they're just trying to get answers. And that information all comes together and coalesces to try and add to the science and add to the research and the evidence. But it is like putting together a whole collage of evidence. It's really difficult if you get like an electromagnetic frequency spike on a graph to try and translate to somebody what that means, like as far as the paranormal. You're looking at lines on a graph and it just goes right over people's heads. Gary Nolan goes on Fox News and he talks about interference syndrome and the phenomenon having effects like Havana syndrome, and it just goes like right over people's heads a lot of times, and instead of digging into it and trying to figure out what that means, what frequency, what is the cases of Havana syndrome. So I think the private individuals that are affected by it, that are looking into it, there's a lot of people actually doing it, and most of them honestly are not running around on Twitter or on podcasts. A lot of them are scientists or scholarly people, intellectual people working on it, and they're working on their own dime and private time when they're not at a university doing their real job.
Good question from Jeremy here. How come then Joe Rogan, Ross Coulthart, Jeremy Corbell, and so on get to see these photos, but we can't?
I don't know how much the stuff coming through Corbell and those guys all revolves around this weirdness of Bigelow. To me, all of that's suspect. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I think if I met those guys and hung around them, but some of the sources that I know that like Corbell and Colm Kelleher, that I've met some of the people, they're secret and private sources where they get a lot of their stories from that they've written about. And a lot of them are under very suspicious NDAs. They're not supposed to talk about things, but they are talking to people that Bigelow allows them to talk to. And a lot of their stories are fed to them and convoluted and super suspect. So I don't know. When it comes to it, that kind of stuff is really frustrating to me. That's why I say when people come forward and they say, oh, I've got fragment from a UFO crash, or I've got another piece of UFO footage. I mean, who it's coming through and where it came from and where their sources are. These people are still alive and they're out there, and you can connect the dots, and it's not that complicated. And when it revolves around Bigelow and that whole era of research, you'd be, why is Jeremy Corbell and these guys? I don't know. I have so many questions about that group and why they're all tied together. I don't know if I trust it completely, but I don't know what to say other than people should keep looking into all of that group. I don't necessarily trust them all.
No, but the problem is you don't have to trust them. We don't have to trust them. Other people don't have to trust them. But there is a circle of trust within that group that rotates where the information is going. It's been George Knapp. It's been Jeremy Corbell. It's been Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal. It's been Tim McMillan from the Debrief. It's been a number of people who have been able to go, and it seems like certain people, when they're not serviceable anymore, or maybe they don't look good in front of the camera, they disappear for a while, and then later on they come back. I mean, we've seen it happen time and time again.
I've talked about this on other shows as well, and with some of my colleagues, is like how much even me, like when I like I have the 3.1 million subscribers, makes me an easy target to be a useful idiot, where I could be brought into a place, misled or shown things or given a particular idea, and then I turn around and run and share it with my audience or promote something that is totally convoluted, you know? So you have to wonder around some of these people, question whether or not they're just being used as a useful idiot, to where they can fully believe that what they're pushing and promoting out there is legitimate evidence, but they're really just like a puppet being used for some sort of other intention to kind of cover an ulterior program or a black program or something they don't really want people to know about. And so I think it poses a lot of questions when you see a little, I hate to use the phrase useful idiot. I'm not calling these people idiots. I'm just saying you don't even know when it's happening to you. You're just ignorant to the fact that you're being duped, you know, and so you're being used and pointed to perpetrate a hoax or something that isn't real, and you don't even realize it. And so you're very vigilant and you believe it and you're promoting it, not even realizing that you're being pointed in a direction, you know, and to go out and talk about things. And so I question, you know, when I see certain of the same rotation of characters with questionable ties and correlations and stuff being the ones that are trusted to release this information or have it leaked through, I just really, I don't know. I think people should question that and look into it for themselves and where the sources and where this stuff is really coming from. Because nothing needs to be faked. The phenomena and this stuff is real. And again, you don't have to trust these sources in order to know that for yourself. That's my opinion.
So what is real?
Oh man, that's subjective to each individual. I guess that's going to come with a subset of your own preconceived ideas, I guess. Yeah. To me, I think there's kind of a collective baseline of what's going on with reality that we all kind of share, but the edges of that are way more mysterious than we realize. And that encompasses everything to our own human origins and consciousness and the phenomenon itself and UFOs. I think that UFOs and the phenomenon are a real thing, but I think that they integrate and they have mastered our reality at a level that we just can't fathom, to the point that we would almost perceive them as supernatural, time-traveling, reality-bending things or entities that we struggle to understand. And when they get close to us, or when we get close to those locations where the phenomena exists, I think it affects us, and I think it changes us as people too, sometimes for good and sometimes for bad. And I think that the evidence is showing that over time. All of the details around that are, who knows, you know, what the aliens look like, or if they are aliens, if they come from another planet or another dimension or a mix of the two, is still totally in question to me. It's all theoretical.
So where do you think the UFOs are coming from? That's the great debate on why we had to all of a sudden switch over and call them UAP. Well, because we didn't know if they were from the future, if they were from space, a different dimension, a different timeline, inner Earth, inner water. I mean, there's a lot of different speculations going on right now. I mean, where do you sit on that?
I feel like boy, that is a difficult one. I think it's a spectrum. I think that what's difficult for us to understand is the same way that, like, if you stick your face down in the ocean near a coral reef, you see that it's actually teeming with a variety of life. And I think that the phenomenon might be more to that, but in a non-physical sense, in the way that we perceive reality and interact with reality. So we're very physical beings. We have a physical body, and everything that we do relies upon the laws of physics. But there's this whole non-physical reality that encompasses our emotions, our thoughts, our imaginations, our dreams, our memories, and this whole other spectrum of reality beyond the physical that could be inhabited by non-physical entities and consciousness, and how they come into physical reality and appear or manifest into our physical reality as like a craft or a being of some kind could come off very supernatural or otherworldly. The claims of people like entering a ship or a craft, I think throughout time is really easy for us as humanity to lock that into the idea of just being a physical spaceship and having a hard time understanding other dimensions of reality. But that doesn't mean that they're not real. It's just a different type of real. Non-physical reality can be just as real. It's just not physical. It's a psychological conscious reality or realm that behaves much differently. So I don't know. I think that UFOs are kind of a mix, and the side effects that UFOs have make that very confusing. How they affect us and how they affect our perceptions of reality make that totally confusing as to what's real and what's not. And that's where it's a puzzle. That's why we need other people to experience it, to collaborate and to know, to share our stories, and then to use the equipment to back it up and narrow into what it actually is.
I was just going to say that because I still believe, Carl, that the experiencer has the answers, whether it's been downloaded into them, whether it's been put forward to them, or whatever. I really do believe this is all trending towards what do the experiencers know? What do First Nations and Indigenous people know?
Yeah.
And I think those two groups combined, the Indigenous and the experiencers out there, Carl, I think that's where eventually this all culminates together to try and find the answers, because there's a lot of people out there who are being downloaded a plethora of information, and none of them are being asked to join any type of group. And I'm not talking, Stephen Greer's $3,500 CE5 extravaganza, because the real people already know how to do that. What I am talking about is the idea that people like Fugal, people like Blind Frog Ranch, people like yourself or Elizondo or Mellon or whoever, they already know that the experiencers have a ton of the answers. They just don't want to go down that road just yet, because it means that the woo that everybody bashes is more real than what we know.
I agree. And I think it's a shared responsibility. Also as experiencers, I know even myself, when, I've had experiences, I went back to my family and I was like, wow, this totally happened to me. And I just like a fire hydrant blasting them in the face, trying to tell them about my experiences without taking a moment to be introspective about my own self, my own level of painting in the gaps and how much I was affecting the situation. So I think also as experiencers, we need to make sure that we're not just, claiming that every dust particle is an orb or a UAP or something, and that every shadow that moves in the forest in the distance and on some blurry photograph is a Sasquatch. Like, I think people need to up their level of what they require as evidence. And we're demanding that too. We're sick of the blurry pictures. We're sick of the photographs from a cell phone that don't make any sense. And I am too. But when you actually get out there, boots on the ground, and you start using high level equipment, it's still full of problems that people will get mad about, even when you do catch evidence, So, man, it's a tough one. I think that we just have to keep moving forward. And I think a lot of this has to do with our intentions, and the frustration can mount and we can get mad at other people. But really, the contact that I've had and the experiences that I've had have all occurred when I've put all that aside and I've quit going out there trying to prove anything or with any kind of an agenda. And I've really just connected with like the earth, or connected with the place, or connected with the universe in a very deep and profound and personal way, and not got caught up in all that drama. And it's really, really, really easy to do when you get sucked into it. But, yeah, I think just staying genuine with your intentions will get you a long way, especially with approaching this topic.
We have about 5 minutes to go here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. And we have Carl the Crusher here tonight on Spaced Out Radio, hanging out with us, talking UFOs. Where do you see this going? Where do you want it to go? Because the one thing I can guarantee to our audience, there is no such thing at all as disclosure. We need to get rid of that word out of our mouths. And we need to understand that there is a very dark confirmation that is happening by multiple agendas, which we're going to be talking to Frank Milburn about tomorrow night, that are really playing this game. What's your feeling about that? Disclosure versus a very dark confirmation.
Yeah, I think that what disclosure is already unfolding. I feel like that floodgate has opened, and it's just going to open more and more and more. I think our role now, instead of like trying to pry the door open, now we have to be vigilant at sifting through what's coming out that valve. So as that stuff pours out from a bunch of different sources, we have to be good at sifting out the fake stuff, the CGI stuff, the hoaxes, and a lot of that is going to boil down to really watchdogging the people and their character and their integrity and who they associate with, what their motives are, and all of that. And so for me, what I see and where it's going is that more and more is going to get disclosed. We're going to see more images, more footage, more military grade stuff. We're going to see more of the Pentagon government level people coming out saying, yeah, we don't know what this is. Yeah, this is a UAP. This is a UFO. We don't know what it is. And we're all going to have to sit at that buffet and sort through what is what from all the stories. And I think it's going to get stranger and stranger as we go. And we're going to realize how it's connected in ways that we didn't realize. But in the meantime, these personal and private approaches are going to get more refined, because the individual collaborative efforts between, I mean, not just like people like me, but there's a lot of people not even filming videos and recording what they're doing that are exploring all sorts of different approaches to making contact and having interesting results that I don't think we're going to have to wait definitely not another 20 years to get some bulletproof answers coming out of all of this.
I would hope so, because we need answers, and we need to be able to wake people up and realize that we are all being played by a military industrial complex on this topic. And,
Yep.
Like I say, Carl, I mean, you don't have to look far. You really don't. All you have to do is go to your local airport and see how antiquated our technology is.
Yep.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. If they're flying hypersonic jets to go take pictures over Russia and China right now, like what's believed with the SR-75, I'm pretty sure that we could use that technology to speed up travel on this planet.
Yeah, all it takes to get you outraged about it, if it is secret government technology that we have or something that they're not letting us know about, or even if it is reverse engineered, forget the extraterrestrial question. The next time, like, one of your kids or family members gets in an accident on the freeway and you have to wait 45 minutes for an ambulance to drive up with a gasoline engine on the freeway to pick them up on a stretcher, when a UFO or some anti-gravity thing could just go and get them there back to medical treatment, and the technology could exist to fix or heal them in a way, and all of that is being kept for war purposes, that's an abomination that should be shifted. I mean, especially if this technology has been going on since like World War II, and they're still hiding it within these black programs, and then there's people being experimented on with this technology, forget it. I mean, people should be upset about it, especially, if they've been affected by the phenomena in a negative way, or these programs, And I think people working in the programs feel that, and they sense it, or have been a part of it, and they don't like it either. And so that's part of why it's changing.
Well, let's see how far it changes, because national pride and NDAs have two big things that are holding a lot of people back, and we don't need any more videos. We don't need any more dots in the skies. We don't need any more photographs of blurry photos, but that's what we're going to get. Carl, 20 seconds. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, just go to Carl the Crusher on YouTube, and all my links are down in the description of every video. If you go to my link tree, carlcrusher.com, all of that, you can check it out, follow my research, and you'll catch a lot of behind the scenes from a lot of places that are involved in a lot of stuff. So appreciate it, Dave. It's been awesome.
Hey, we're going to do this again very soon because I know we plan and talk about collaborating a hell of a lot more in the future, and that's what we're going to do. Carl the Crusher, everybody. Coming up next, we're going to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller is back. Then the handsome one, Tim Senor, will join us for the UFO report. A busy hour 3 coming up next on Spaced Out Radio. You're going to get a message and hook up with Jonathan Davies in our chat room.
Yeah.
He is somebody you want to talk to.
Okay. He's familiar to me. I've seen him around.
Yeah. He's been a guest on here a few times. Brilliant dude. But I'll let him fill you in. Just take his conversation if you don't mind.
Sure. Absolutely.
That'd be awesome. Hey, buddy, I appreciate you doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Dave. Obviously, we've been trying to do this for a long time, man. We're just always busy.
We're gonna do it right after you're done in Utah or at the conference again. I'm taking a couple weeks off in September because I need a mental break, and so we'll hook up again very soon on this and make things happen again.
Very cool. I'll be happy to do it. Just let me know.
All right, brother. You take care. Dave. Take care of that hot beard and mustache combination. Could you do me a favor in Facebook Messenger? Send me your address so I could send you some stuff.
Yeah, you bet. Absolutely. I got to rock the cap, right?
And your size.
Okay, will do, man.
All right. All right, bud.
Dave. Appreciate it. All you guys in the chat too. See ya.
Take care. Carl the Crusher, everybody. Let's give him a few claps before. Yeah, that was a good show. Fantastic show. He'll probably come say hi in the chat room and everything like that. So he's that guy. Tim Senor will be up next, guys. I'm just going to go fill up my water bottle. I am sweating like a pig in here. And yes, I will be right back, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Dying of thirst. Hi, Lavira. How are you? This is good. This was a great show. Great show. Still have my pooches down here. They're a little wound up. There's Shadow. That's my German Shepherd. And there's Doug Stevenson lying right there beside me. Oh. There we go. All right. Thank you to all the super chatters tonight. Very much appreciated. Tim, D. Cohen, Thomas, Simon, Dry Toast, Ange, Twigbird, Doug, Raz, TMI times 2, Grant, Blue Cruz, Simon, and Tammy. Here we go with hour 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Salmagundi. Salmagundi is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where we head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller takes us on another spooky journey.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. I have a sleep disorder. It means under stress, I simply don't sleep. I've been awake for up to 8 weeks at a time. There was a film called The Machinist about someone with my disorder. However, in the film, the guy went on to work every day and seemed to function okay at work. It is impossible to have normal function when you have been awake for a month or so. Unless, of course, you're on meth. And I have never tried meth. Never will. When I've been awake for a month, it feels like hell on earth. I feel as tired as a person would be who has not slept for a month, but still unable to get sleep. I've taken 40 sleeping pills over the counter at one time, topped off with 4 bottles of NyQuil, topped off by 20 melatonin, and the result, not even sleepy. Not in the least, just a super bad headache. My condition is truly horrible. Anyway, most of you will conclude, well, we know why you see a ghost. You're hallucinating for lack of sleep. That could be true. However, there is another theory. The other theory is that ghosts are real and can be seen by those who are in the proper brainwave. The brainwave of a sleeping person is different from that of a fully awake person, and the brainwave of a fully awake person is different from that of a person who just wakes up. Well, I've seen ghost and shadow people in all states of wakefulness. Just waking up, and other times having been awake for 8 hours after a restful sleep. Most people dream about holding a good job, retiring, and buying a house, raising children, etc. My dream was to get on SSD, which is disability, and get maybe $700 a month, that's all they can give you, and get some food stamps. then find an abandoned house somewhere away from a city. I would make sure it was abandoned. Then I would clean it the best I could and then put all sorts of blankets in it, and get about 100 gallons of water to store inside. Then I'd buy several hundred pounds of beef jerky and other things like energy bars and food items that keep for a long time, just so I don't have to ever see people. I assume the house would have no electricity, depending on where it was. I might have to get a metal container or fill it with a bunch of coal or something like that. Intruders? I'd have to buy a lot of mouse traps and things of that sort. Some sort of ingenious alarm system that would wake me up if people came into the structure. I would need something to discourage people, like a sign that said danger, closed by the county health department, infectious contagions inside. Something like that. And then once I had all the blankets and mouse traps and the signs up and the other warning systems, and a large metal barrel and the coal and the 10-gallon water jugs, enough to last for a while, and the 300 pounds of beef jerky and 200 pounds of energy bars, I'd move in and just sleep. Sleep for as long as possible. To me, that sounds like heaven. That is my idea of heaven and earth. To just sleep. Anyway, back in 2004, I was living in Kaysville, Utah, in an old motel. For some reason, about 3 a.m., I just opened my eyes, and I saw what looked to be a shadow woman floating over me through the front door, and she was on her way to the bathroom. Completely black, no features, but I could tell she was a woman, and had a large, beehive-like hairdo. The ones that were like popular in the 1960s, and high cheekbones. She was headed for the bathroom, the only room in the motel room with a mirror. I looked at her, and then she turned her head to look at me. It scared me to death, so I quickly closed my eyes, and I regret that now. Now, I would wave at her to investigate more, but back then I was just so scared. I remember thinking later, I guess there are bobby pins in the spirit world. How else would she have her beehive? I guess there's clothing too. Anyway, another missed opportunity to try to make some interdimensional contact. I've seen ghosts and shadow people many times. These could be merely hallucinations produced by my own mind and sleep disorder. Or my brain could have some unique chemistry that allows me to see things most people cannot see. I'd love to see the conversation on this topic in the comments down below. Hello, I am a manager for one of the most haunted locations in the state of Utah. You probably have seen us on shows like Ghost Adventures, which have been here twice. A few others have done some episodes, and sorry to spoil the magic, but those are mostly fake or exaggerated. The only reason I'm mentioning this part is to hopefully give some form of credibility. The point is, while I do believe, I don't just believe everything I hear and read. I ghost hunt up here a lot. And not like YouTube teenager breaking into abandoned buildings and walking around, more like real professional investigations with other professionals. The location paranormal-wise, if you name it, we have it. Shadow people, residual hauntings, intelligent haunting, poltergeist, phantom animals, shapeless masses of shadows, and energy, hellhounds, you name it, it's probably been seen here. One entity has piqued my interest as of late, though. It's typically seen in the basement. However, as of the last few months, it seems to have started venturing out. Usually, we don't allow ghost hunters into the basement for safety concerns. Here's a description of this entity. It is described as a pale, thin humanoid figure. It crawls on all fours. It appears to be completely hairless and wears no clothes. Now, I know what you're thinking, and yes, this is real and not a reference to the Rake or any other creepypasta stories. However, it is similar in appearance. The few times it was seen in the basement, it sat and watched what we were doing, seemingly curious. However, roughly about a month ago, a very good friend of mine who has very high credibility in my book saw this thing materialize out of the floor on the ground level. It then charged at her and ran up behind the wall before disappearing. Last week, a demonologist came and did an overnight public ghost hunt. At about 2:40 a.m., he came running back to the base camp room and wouldn't go investigate anymore. He was in the same room that it was seen last month. Yesterday, while working in that room, my shoulder started to burn. When I checked later, I noticed a series of scratches on my left shoulder. I just want to know what this thing is. And the people I usually ask this are just as confused as I am. I hope somebody listening can give me some information in the comments down below. And thank you for sharing my story.
And we say thank you to Swamp Dweller for taking us on another great journey here on Spaced Out Radio, where we go into the land of spookiness. Swamp Dweller, you can hear thousands of his stories by going to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads and check him on out for yourself. Make sure you hit subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. All right, let's get to it. It is time for Tim Senor and the UFO Report.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Tim, it's hard to see you tonight. You're wearing camouflage. Barely see you if it wasn't for that great Howie Mandel looking head of yours.
Hey, Dave, how's it going?
Hey, Bobby, how are you? How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right, bud. Good to see you.
It is very nice to see you. And another busy day in the UFO world as, we come into another good time and another good set of information that seems to be coming out. And we'll get to that in a moment. But, I know you have always something up your sleeve when you come in here, and you're probably itching to go on it. I mean, you're just a couple of weeks away from heading back to Utah.
That's right. Meeting up with Carl the Crusher. In fact, cannot wait to get out there and do some research with that guy. What an excellent interview. I mean, chock full of knowledge. And you did a great job in interviewing. You got some great information out of him. That's great.
Well, you know what? We tried. And you know what? I think people will be happy to know that over the next amount of time, they'll probably, hear that golden voice of Carl the Crusher on Spaced Out Radio a few more times as we start to build an entire bond here with a number of great people. It started with you and Terry Hall, and this is going to continue. Thomas Fessler and many others who are all involved with, trying to push the boundaries forward a little bit. And I'm very much excited for that, seeing where it goes and how we get there, and it's just riding the lightning, man.
That's
riding
right.
the lightning.
That's right. Unity in the community, as we like to say around here. And, interesting fact out there where Carl is researching in the Uintia Basin, NASA left a seal, one of their NASA seals at a location out there where they had been doing research for decades until they finally pulled the plug and left this seal in remembrance of their time there. So there's definitely something of interest out there and has been for a very long time. Carl's definitely onto something.
I agree. And I look forward to seeing what you guys get here. All right, let's kick it off here because some very interesting and unique news coming out of Washington, D.C. This was reported on by The Hill, so people can go to thehill.com and check it on out themselves if they want to read the full story. But Congress, who has interest in the UFO world, are now starting to open up the fact that UFOs may be of non-human origins. And for the last 4 years, all we heard was swamp gas, Russia, China adversaries, swamp gas, Russia, China adversaries, and so on and so on and so on. But now there seems to be a little change in direction, Tim.
That's right. In fact, approved unanimously by the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, rebranding UFOs as unidentified aerospace undersea phenomenon, expanding the definition to include objects in space and under the oceans, significantly broadens the scope and the muscular view the office is taking on this as Congress is looking into investigating UFOs. The revised definition of UFO also included transmedium objects which, according to lawmakers, transition between space and the atmosphere or between the atmosphere and bodies of water. And so, in short, members of key national security focused committee believes that objects of unknown origin are demonstrating remarkably advanced technology. by moving seamlessly between space, air, and water. A report accompanying the legislation notes that transmedium threats to United States national security are expanding exponentially. And strains credulity believe that lawmakers would include such extraordinary language in public legislation without compelling evidence. Perhaps members have seen the classified sensor data that prompted former President Trump's director of national intelligence to state that UFOs exhibit technologies that we don't have and that we are not capable of defending against, among several other eyebrow-raising comments. Most strikingly, Congress's new definition of UFOs excludes man-made quote-unquote objects. And so over the last several decades, most UFO sightings involve man-made objects, such as misidentified aircraft, balloons, satellites, or drones. Yet now, according to Congress, quote-unquote man-made objects should not be considered under the definition as unidentified aerospace undersea phenomenon. So moreover, in a congressional directive, objects identified by the new UFO office as man-made will be passed on and appropriately just disregarded. And so Congress, in short, is forcing the government to focus on objects that are not man-made. Imagine that the new UFO office identifies a highly advanced drone flying in sensitive aerospace. Under the new draft legislation, regardless of the drone's origin, be it Chinese, Russian, or otherwise, the UFO office must immediately stop investigating and hand the case over to another government entity. And so this implies that members of Senate Intelligence Committee believe, on a unanimous bipartisan basis, by the way, that some UFOs have non-human origins. After all, why would Congress establish a task force and powerful new office with investigating non-man-made UFOs if such objects don't exist? Dave, over to you. What's your opinion?
Well, I think they're starting to open up, and this is where we get to the topics of what is being discussed behind the scenes, Tim. What is the conversations that are going on that Mellon, Elizondo, and those alike are not telling us? They make a bunch of fabulous claims, but they can't say anything due to their non-disclosure agreements. And that isn't a shot at these guys. So please don't take it as a shot at them. They can only go so far as they can go, because legally that's their responsibility that they signed on for. However, very big words like that need some serious questioning. These people know they can say whatever they want, and the mainstream media is not going to jump on it. Okay, now The Hill is more of an online website news site, and they are very good at reporting. Very good at reporting. But that being said, Tim, we need to break this open more. What do you mean by the fact that they may not be from Earth? Where are they coming from? Elaborate on that. Tell us more. Don't give us the same old answer, we're just not sure. You wouldn't make that comment if you didn't know. You're putting it out there to see what reaction the public will give you, and if anybody hops onto it. It's the same thing, man, where when I worked in media, and to this day it's still true, nothing gets released, or anything you don't want to talk about usually gets released on a Friday afternoon. Number one, to gauge the public, see their reaction. Two, to gauge the media's perception. Will they jump on that story for the weekend? All right. And three, it allows the government officials to prepare for anything over the weekend in case they have to deal with it on Monday. That's how it works. And I think with this, it's another one of those little stories that comes out of the UFOs Pandora's box at the Pentagon that I always talk about, that now we're all of a sudden talking about how this is shall we say, not ours or anybody's on this planet? I mean,
Yeah.
guys, Tim, we only have to go back 4 months where Pentagon officials, Bill Nelson at NASA, were talking about extraterrestrial craft and that they believe that extraterrestrials may have discovered us. And now, fast forward, again, it comes out. Read between the lines. My famous words. Read between the lines, man, because it's all there. And they keep teasing us with the information. Where's the 21-minute video that everyone bragged about? And as one of our listeners questioned earlier, how come certain people like Ross Coulthart or Jeremy Corbell or Joe Rogan or other people are subject to these photographs? Even Gary Nolan was going to send Mick West certain photographs. Yet we don't get to play with them? We're part of that no-touch league, right? We want to touch them. We want to feel them. We want to smell them. We want to go over them. We want to discuss. We want to debate. Where are they? Stop telling us. Start doing. Anyways, you know me.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And a lot to unpack there, but I must say the wordage of Congress implies that UFOs have non-human origin. For the Hill to be putting that as a headline is massive in itself. That's the headline. The implications are massive. Obviously that the wordage has changed there and that they're looking very specifically for something. Obviously around the Pentagon, UFO, UAP, and now UAUP have become a household name, and it sounds like everybody's deeply interested and looking for answers, and no longer can we just accept a shrug, from people that are supposed to be responsible for lawmaking. So, recently with the handshake we saw from Bill Nelson, the head of NASA and the head of DOD, there's massive implications there. And we see also them starting to highlight the other category, the fact that they're bringing that up as an important category to discuss and to segregate it out and make it part of the committee's focus. So no longer will these cases just be scrutinized by people and thrown away. They'll immediately be handed off as potential phenomenon, which I think is great because probably a lot of the babies get thrown out with the bathwater in a lot of these cases where they're just too many perhaps, or just maybe not enough information, according to their standards. So moving forward, we're going to see a lot more cases getting scrutinized, and maybe you'll get your hands on some of those photos. Obviously, recently we saw the Covine. Is that the name of the photograph that was released?
Calvine.
And the Calvine, thank you. The Calvine photo, and the public was able to scrutinize that. And I think that was a great representative of how data can be shared and looked at and really left up to the public scrutiny. It's pretty big that was released. And I think that was another one of these little steps that we're seeing, that small organizations like the Debrief are able to make huge strides in getting this out in public awareness. That was a major story that I think was pretty international. So I think that's great.
Well, let's continue this conversation because we also have a couple more topics to go over on the UFO report with Tim Senor tonight on Spaced Out Radio. But I mean, this is, like I said to you all along, there are many different agendas going on in the UFO world right now. Take them all with a grain of salt because they're going to throw info at you and you're the one who has to discern it. Spaced Out Radio's UFO report with Tim Senor continues right after this break. Stay tuned. All right, there we go. Dude, I had such a nice breeze coming through here. during the thunderstorm, and now nothing is moving, and my studio literally went up like 8 degrees. It
You're
is.
in the eye of the storm.
Oh, it's so hot in here. So hot.
Hey, did you know that Tom Petty crashed his car after seeing a flying saucer?
I did not. That is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a little bonus nugget I ran across.
I love those stories.
Man, me too. There's a lot of UFO in artwork and in music, and it's crazy to know all of the musicians that we love and celebrate that have had encounters, experiences.
Right.
It's pretty
Right.
cool.
It's pretty amazing. I wish a lot more of them would come out, and an author like Susan Massino would come out and write a book about these experiences. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's obviously a massive link between music and the phenomenon, I think, potentially. Frequency, vibration, all of that. People that, are psychic definitely tap into the music and all that stuff. I think there's something to it. It's very cool.
Oh, I agree. I fully agree.
Man, what a great show tonight. Carl.
Oh, Carl was amazing.
Oh, man, that guy's got such great energy. We got to meet him in person not long ago up in Vernal. And he's the same in person as you guys are seeing there. He's just a really smart guy looking for the truth, man, in all the right places. So it's great.
No, very much appreciated him. And, he's the kind of guy you want researching. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I was very impressed with his work on the Magic Mesa and his results and everything. Just great, great work on that. But he's also got such a great camera presence. It's like hard to look away from his videos. It's just great. He's got a really magic touch.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Solid beard. Very solid beard.
That might be the secret to his success. It's the special
Wouldn't
sauce.
surprise me. Would not surprise me.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Everybody's going to have some.
Mine always points north. It's an arrow. It's because I'm lazy. I can't finish the job.
Excuse me. Oh, man.
Oh, man. Our next topic is big.
Well, we'll get into that when we return.
It's a brain squeezer.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Joe, for the Lola update. Appreciate that. All right, we got just over a minute here, bud.
Did you battle the wasps yet?
Not yet.
Wasp.
Planning for it on Thursday. That's the start of it. I gotta go get the squirt bottles.
Go in stealthy.
Gotta go in hard. They're not gonna know what's coming to them.
Oh, I don't know which side to cheer for. I really don't. Just the fact that you're filming it. I really could see Benny Hill music and speeding it up if it goes badly.
You jerk. It's not going to go badly. I'm going to win.
I
Hey,
hope you're right.
Give me a couple seconds here. I got to say a big thank you tonight to Tammy, Simon, Blue Cruise, TMI ×2, Grant, Ozzy Ange, Twig Bird from Australia, the Doug Shelby, Razgriz, Dry Toast, the best name in YouTube, Simon, Thomas, D. Cohen, and you, Tim, for the amazing super chats. Thanks for kicking it off. Thanks, Bobby.
I'm on a
All right, here we go. We rounded third. We're headed for home tonight. Do we slide or do we run on in? That is to be determined. Dave Scott here at Space Out Radio headquarters. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with the UFO report. Little Timmy Senor is here. Hard to see him because he is wearing camouflage. You know, you just can't trust it when someone's wearing camouflage because they're trying to hide something on you, like UFOs or whatever it may be. Quantum physics could finally explain consciousness. Let's go into the mind woo here, Tim.
Yeah, this is a tough one, and I am definitely diving into a realm that I am not totally comfortable with, but I was really excited to read this article because it made it a little easier for me to wrap my head around. Hopefully this will work for you guys too. And so quantum physics and consciousness are a little weird, and they could be somehow connected. And so the science behind the two are a little bit interesting, and let's see if somehow at some point scientists are able to put data together to prove that they're connected. And so early quantum physics noticed through the double slit experiment that the act of attempting to measure photons as they pass through a wavelength size slit to detection screen on the other side changed their behavior. And so this measurement attempt caused wave-like behavior to be destroyed, forcing light to behave more like a particle. While this experiment answered the question, is light a wave or a particle? It's neither, with properties of both, depending on the circumstance. It's left behind a more troubling question in its wake. What if the act of observing with the human mind is actually causing the world to manifest changes, albeit at an incomprehensibly small scale? And so for me, Dave, just that concept on itself kind of helped me understand what the philosophy and some of the scientific understanding of what some of the quantum theories and quantum string theory could actually mean, and how you could kind of relate it. So on a very small level, people think that you can affect particles or whatever the other is in this case, because now we're trying to see that the measurement attempting here is to do things on a very small scale. And so we're thinking that consciousness can affect things potentially on a micro scale. Now, do you think that this is something that we could start to measure, Dave? Do you buy into this? What is your theory on this concept?
Oh, I got a lot of theories and words to say on this concept. First, let me blame Bill Nelson from NASA regarding this. And no, I'm just saying that out of fun. I really am. But there is a reality to this. And I think that the further we go down the road, the further we are going to be studying the minds of people who are actually having some sort of interaction with other deities, entities, or psychic phenomena. And there is no choice anymore. regarding this. We're starting to look into the mind. We see Elon Musk wanting to, start putting supercomputers in people's brains, and hopefully that doesn't go down the road of Terminator, but more so goes down the road, hey, I'm very much supportive in that type of technology if it helps paralyzed people walk again, if it helps children with cerebral palsy or adults with cerebral palsy have a little bit more normal life, if it helps with Alzheimer's or other deadly diseases such as that, or people with bipolar disorder or depression or anxiety. I'm good for it. I'm very good for it. However, the more we tap into consciousness, which many intuitives believe that everybody has the capability of tapping into if they just take the time to learn, who knows what'll happen? Could we self-heal ourselves? Could we out-age ourselves? Well, I'm 49 years old, man. Outside of my body hurting because I'm out of shape, I don't feel a day over 25. Right? So where does that put me on the scale? People use consciousness and say that's how they get their information from extraterrestrials. That's how they've actually flown craft, was through consciousness. The craft being almost like a biologically or some sort of biometal, was able to communicate through the brains of people who claim that they have actually flown craft. And there's a lot of instances with that. What about Sasquatch telepathically communicating through consciousness with people? Dogman the same way. How many stories have we heard over the years from people who've encountered Dogman who drew a gun on that creature, and telepathically they seem to get a conscious connection with a voice saying, I'd put that down if I were you. It could be really bad if you pull that trigger. We're seeing that all the time. Never mind communication with ghosts, angels, and other entities or ethereal beings. Our mind, we have no idea the capacity of it, Tim. That's why any study into consciousness is going to be very important for moving this ball forward in the future for humanity.
And I just had one quick question for you, Dave. So with the quantum consciousness theory, are the implications there that you could draw into this reality something through meditation or through a conscious attempt? So if I wanted to see lights in the sky hard enough, could I actually draw them into something I could even record with my camera, but someone sitting next to me may not be able to perceive?
Well, that's an interesting question because, Tim, so many times, if you took, and it doesn't take many, 2 or 3 people that are spiritually connected or tapped into, doesn't matter how light or how heavy, into their consciousness, everybody builds. It's kind of like when you take 3 Bic lighters, you have 1 flame, 2 flame, 3 flame, but if you put them all together, you get 1 giant flame. The energy grows together, man. I'm not trying to sound like a hipster or anything like this. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But when you are around people, your body and your consciousness automatically connects to them. This is why I'm harping, Tim, on people such as yourself or Carl or Brandon Fugel to bring those in regarding. Are you having some issues there? Tim, can you hear us?
I just got back. Sorry about that.
Okay. So what I was saying, Tim, is people such as you or Carl or Brandon Fugel or others doing those studies, what I would suggest is when you bring in those who are delving into their consciousness, they have the powers together to bring a lot of real cool things forward. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to see the same thing. But if you get 3 out of the 5, 5 out of the 10, 9 out of the 15, that's pretty serious.
Right. And again, we did have that experience with you where you perhaps brought something into our camera or were able to hone in on something. But either way, it felt like you perhaps were tapping into something on the quantum level. Does that even make sense, or am I way off course?
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. However, I would say it like this. I would say that it is something that I had at that point been given a sign to tell Terry where to point the cameras. So that's what I did. And when I did that, that's when everything went really cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
And so people who are tuning on in, I'm here in British Columbia, and they were doing the studies a couple weeks ago in Utah, and all of a sudden I started getting a bunch of pressure in my head, like from my temples on in, we're squeezing in, and the numbers 11 and 11:30 popped into my head. I ended up calling Terry at 11:11, and I said, Terry, get your cameras, face them north, and then point them between 11 and 11:30. You're going to get something on the camera. And that's exactly what happened. Followed the direction. I was tuned in. Why did it happen at that moment while I'm doing a show? I have no idea, Tim. No idea. Or no, that was on a weekend. I was listening to the after hours doing some work on my computer. Pardon me. But either way, why did that happen? That's the consciousness aspect. Why would it affect me here in British Columbia when you're about 1,600 miles as the bird flies away? Why would that happen? It makes no sense. Greg O'Brien, cool. Where's the footage? You were there, Greg O'Brien, you weirdo. The scowling Greg O'Brien, everyone. The scowling Greg O'Brien. That's why we love him.
Yeah, he was there as one of a few skeptics, and quite literally, we were sitting next to each other during an event, and he didn't see anything that I was filming. Our cameras were next to each other. He could see what I was looking at in my screen, but he couldn't see anything through his. And literally, our cameras were right next to each other. So Greg is great.
We may have to invest in some glasses for Greg.
I don't think it's glasses, man. I think it's the phenomenon. It's bizarre and unexplainable. And a lot of things happen that I can't really wrap my head around. So this is just another aspect of it. And the quantum consciousness and that whole aspect is very interesting. And I'm glad that is being dialogued with people that are in the know.
Yeah, it's very interesting to watch it happen. Very interesting to watch it happen. And hopefully it continues. And we got time for one more story here, Tim, and we're going to go to a sighting that a pilot had, an ex-military airline pilot, with a 30-plus minute encounter at 40,000 feet. What happened here?
Yeah, and it's actually pretty compelling video that is available through the Bro Bible and available on YouTube. And so in this sighting, it took place over a 35-minute period from approximately 12:55 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. on August 12th. So a nice recent encounter that came while he was traveling around 40,000 feet between Wilmington, North Carolina and Richmond, Virginia. And in his report to the website UFO Sightings Daily, the pilot writes that he took off from St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands for a 4-hour flight to Washington Dulles Airport. They began seeing slow pulses of light in the sky, which directly in front of them to their north. And the pulses would usually last between 8 and 10 seconds. And then had gaps of darkness lasting anywhere from 8 to 10 seconds again. to sometimes over a minute. And so they were moving very slowly from left to right across the sky, and the pulses would be gradual, and they would start off very dim and grow into a very bright light about the brightness of Venus and then fade away. And so a quote from him comes here: "As an ex-military person and airline pilot, I am positive I was not seeing other airliners." And he continued, "Very few civilian aircraft can fly above 41,000 feet, and the objects were about 10 degrees above the horizon from their perspective." So that means it was even higher than the 41,000 feet that they were flying at. And so he's continues here and says, "I was not able to tell the distance of the objects from our aircraft, but in the 35 plus minutes we watched, they never seemed to get any closer, or even though they covered about 250 nautical miles in that time." And so for this reason, he believes that they were either in the upper atmosphere or out in space. And he goes on to explain that he and the captain of the plane attempted to determine what the blinking objects were, but did not come up with any good answer. And sometimes there appeared to be even 2 lights, and other times there seemed to be even 3. At one point, he says he saw 2 lights flying in formation, almost side by side. And so this is a great report, and if anyone has time to go and check out this footage, it's pretty compelling stuff. The fact that there are no markings, no marker lights, no other strobes, it just acted like something very bizarre. It's
No,
great to
very
see these
true.
reports. Yeah.
41,000 feet. Mick West will be out there saying something along the lines that it's bokeh, it's swamp gas, it's a kite, it's a Batman balloon.
I feel
Dog
bad for
hair.
Mick, though. Mick has got his work cut out for him. There are a lot of cases coming out now, and we're seeing more and more from credible witnesses like this. If you scour MUFON like a lot of us do, there are some amazing cases that are out daily, and a lot of them are with great video from pretty good sources, and it's going to be tough for Mick to shake a stick at all of them. I mean, come on, 5% from MUFON are considered unexplainable. And so Mick should just dig into that 5%. I mean, MUFON has got serious scientists that work on this stuff. It's not just a hobby. It's taken very seriously there. And so 5% of the cases are unsolvable by MUFON. So, anytime Mick is interested, these are the cases he should be looking at, the ones with good data.
Another great UFO report, Tim Senor. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, bud. Thanks for having me.
Let's get to Shirky Poo's news.
What time is it? It's time for Shirky Poo's news.
All right, let's get over to Shirky Poo. Well, apparently in Vancouver, there was some UFOs being sighted. Yeah, the object was itself unidentifiable in the dark light, but lights which caught the attention of a few people were lined up together in a straight line, leading some to think the object may be a UFO or another alien-like object. No, it looks nothing like Elon Musk's satellites on a string. No, nothing. The object apparently floated over Vancouver, and there were some videos put on it, wondering whether it was SpaceX UFOs or an LED banner flying behind a plane. Yeah, well, I can tell you right now, it looks kind of interesting, like a giant rod that is flying through the sky. Many people were pushing the UFO aspect. However, it was neither a UFO or a train, but instead something man-made. They were spotted over last year in Vancouver, too. Yeah, who knows? Vancouver people think everything's man-made. They really do. They're weirdos like that. A pilot flying over North Carolina apparently captured footage of a curious group of lights that some have likened to the mystery of Foo Fighters. The intriguing incident reportedly happened Friday, August 12th, as the unnamed witness was en route to Washington, D.C. while working for a major airline in the U.S. Said the lights flew and flashed over the next 35 minutes, as Tim just told you, so I don't have to tell you any more of this story, because I'm repeating it, and we don't need to do that around here. Shame on Dave for not paying attention to Tim's stories. Bad Dave. Bad hosting right there. Either way, we got more. In Helena, Montana, part of a human foot was found in a shoe floating in the hot spring of Yellowstone National Park, and it's believed to be linked to the death of a person last month. Yet the July 31st death is being investigated, but officials do not suspect foul play, park officials said in a statement. The statement didn't disclose details about how the death is believed to have happened, identify the person who died, or say why officials do not suspect foul play. The shoe was recovered from the park's Abyss pool on Tuesday after an employee spotted it. News of the discovery led a man from Maryland to contact the National Park Service to report that he and his family had spotted a shoe floating sole up in the hot spring on the morning of August 11th. Chris Quinn of Pasadena, Maryland, said in an interview that he sent a photo of the shoe to the Park Service. Spokesperson Linda Vera said in an email that officials could not confirm whether the shoe was found was the same type as the shoe in Quinn's photo. Of course not. And finally tonight, don't go on Facebook if you're looking to buy illegal body parts. That's what happened to this one dude. Pennsylvania man has been arrested after police found a number of 5-gallon buckets of human remains in his basement. Yeah, police say he allegedly bought the stolen body parts on Facebook. Jeremy Pauley, who's 40, faces charges of receiving stolen property, dealing in proceeds of unlawful activities, and abuse to a corpse. Police said in June they started receiving complaints. In July, they searched Pauley's residence and allegedly found human brains, hearts, livers, skin, and lungs. Oh, that's just gross. Yeah, law enforcement continued the investigation, and he is in jail right now. Wow. Tim, I don't understand some people. I really don't.
You don't want to understand that, Dave.
No. It's actually disturbing. Really disturbing. But thank you, Shirky Poo, for the disturbing news. Tim for the UFO report. Swamp Dweller for the great story. And, of course, our guest tonight, Carl the Crusher. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everybody in our chat rooms tonight. Spreaker, YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. Good show. That one's for the record books.
That was fun. Yeah.
How you doing, little Timmy Senor?
So good. So good. Just getting ready to roll back out to Vernal. Getting the Starliner all shined up and ready to go.
Yeah.
Gonna
put some dingle balls on the Starliner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a great idea.
It is a great idea.
Some velvet.
Hot damn, that's going to look sexy. Some nice plush red velvet.
Have you seen Fudakara trucks? Just go nuts, put neon lights all over it. But yeah. So good. So, I will see you on Wednesday, I think. I'm
Yeah.
probably going to dip out. I've got an early morning thing here.
You go.
I shall leave you to it. Please do me a favor and bring up some wildebeests of Africa.
I will do my best. It all depends if the wildebeest are playing fairly or not. I mean, they're usually hanging out with the drunk zebras.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started on zebras. You put a couple pints in them, and they're anybody's friend.
Yeah, they're just remember they're just aggressive mules. That's all they are.
With
Just aggressive
attitude.
mules
That's right.
with an attitude. You know, they think they own the night. We'll show them.
Hey, you have a great audience tonight, man. That was a lot of fun.
Totally did.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Well, thanks a lot for having me. It's midnight. I shall be turning into a pumpkin here shortly. Thanks again for having me, everyone.
I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Sounds good. Y'all have fun.
Take care. Little Timmy Senor, everybody. Little Timmy Senor. You know, that man could host an infomercial that's 2 hours long and not even break a sweat. Just saying. Swear my hair has stopped growing. Just saying again. That's not even long enough. Oh, we're starting off with this game here. Undo. Undo. And here we go. Right to there. Let's just take it right to there. What the hell? So, for those of you who don't know, I told a bunch of you a couple weeks ago that I found out I am going to be a grandfather. Well, yesterday was the gender reveal party, and found out. First off, I decided I'm going with the name Papa. I want to be a papa. I don't want to be a grandpa. I want to be a papa to this little beautiful human. Now, all four grandparents called the same thing. Yeah, we called the same thing. We all thought we were going to be blessed with a baby girl. However, another hockey player coming here, boys and girls. Another hockey player joining the family. Yes. I'm pretty pumped over this. The little boy is due at the beginning of December. And I'll tell you his name because I'm pretty proud of it. They gave him a gorgeous name. My grandson's name is going to be Jasper. Yep. Little Jasper. I am so friggin' pumped. A gorgeous name, and I'm so looking forward to it. And yes, Joe, my kid had sex. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. So, little Jasper, who already owns my heart next to my little boy, he is due in the beginning of December. I've picked December 11th. And yeah, the kids will decide what I'm called. I'll just go by Papa, though. I'm pretty excited. I'm very excited. And my daughter is doing very well. And everybody is healthy. She's healthy. Baby's healthy. We're at 24 and a half weeks right now. So I'm pretty pumped up. Pretty pumped up right now. Little Jasper. I just love that name. Just so smitten with him already. I'm smitten. Yes. I can't wait. I already know what he's getting for Christmas. Uh-huh. Already know what he's getting for Christmas. I'm going to be a Papa, P-A-P-A. Hi, Stephen Clark. Good night, Stephen Clark. So I'm pretty stoked. We're all pretty stoked. And it's going to be pretty amazing. I'll be honest with you, I'm freaking pumped. I'm absolutely pumped. And we met the boys' parents for the first time this past weekend because they all live way south of us. And first off, the father of my grandchild's father is a really good young man, good level head on his shoulders, and his parents are just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And we had dinner with them yesterday, and got to know them, and it's been very, very cool. Very cool. So pretty happy. Pretty happy. And we'll see where it goes. We will see where it goes. Bombshell bomber. We're having my daughter's having a baby boy. And I'm very happy. Very happy. And his name is Jasper. I'm very happy about that. Very happy. It's pretty cool. So I've got, just so you all know, yes, Jenny, I hurt them all with hot sauce. I do. I hurt them all with hot sauce. It's only fair. It's only fair. The interesting thing, Dave, was that you not only perceived numbers as something, but instead of time, you perceived it as space. I don't understand what that means, Nell. I don't. I think I'm missing something very deep here, and now you have me intrigued. Hi, Stephen Clark. Little Jasper. My son is so excited. He's the only one who got it right. He wanted a boy. Yeah. No, you can't, because Joe, that's my father. Grandpa Dave is my father. Very true, Lisa. No, don't. Let's not play the shame on you card. We're not doing that, Lisa. We're not playing that sexism card here. We don't do that. So let's just erase that comment because that's rude. All right. Yeah, I don't play that game at all, and don't bring that to my show. Thank you very much. If my grandchild were a daughter and wanted to play hockey, go for it. Don't care. Okay, but we're not gonna play games like that and try and do that shit. You want to trigger me? You just triggered me. Okay, because I don't play that game at all, and won't have it in this chat room. All right. Wow. Way to take the wind out of the sails. No, I am not going to Vernal next month. I'm I have been asked, but I am not I am not going to make that. I'll be right back while this is loading. All right, let's go here. Hi, Dougie. I know. It's almost time to go to bed. Damn lightning storms, eh? Just ruining an entire evening, hey, old man? Eh? Yeah. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. I know, Doug. All right. Let's see what's happening in Africa today, shall we? Let's start off with Tembe. Anything happening in Tembe? Nothing. Share this with you. Share screen. There we go. Nothing's happening in Tembe. Dirty camera. They got to wash that camera. Must have had like a windstorm or something there. Let's go to Rosie's Pan. Just a bunch of elephant poop along the trail. Nothing really there. Oh, we're zooming. Come on. See where we zoom to. That was kind of cool the other day, the warthog right in there. Hey, Thurston Howell III. Well, come on. The other day there was like giraffes and zebras and elephants all at this hole. Today we got nothing. You're okay, buddy. You're okay. It's all over with. That's a little scratch right there. Yeah, Bummer. I know girls play hockey too. Like I said, I would have no problem if I had a granddaughter who was playing hockey or a daughter who was playing hockey. I don't understand why we're making this into something a little bit bigger than what we need to make it bigger in. All I said was I got another hockey player. That's all I said. And by the way, when I was just so you all know, when I was working in sports radio, one of my biggest supporters and good friends was Cami Granado, who was the captain of Team USA and the now assistant GM of the Vancouver Canucks. So, but that means nothing, right? Let's put a towel here. Oh, there's the wildebeest. That means the drunken zebras are there, keeping the wildebeest at bay. Look at those party animals over there. I didn't know they could do that. Had no clue. Bear with me. Nothing really happened here. See what else we can find here. Let's go to Norrico. Anything? Nothing. That's a new camera angle there, though. Let's see. Just a towel. Let's go live. All the Fence River. Let's see what's happening there. I hate it when they put it up there. No crocodiles up there. No hippos up there. Nothing ever happening up there. Let's go back here. Live. Kruger Shalati. Let's check it out. Oh, it's a recording pattern. What the hell is this? What time is it there? Should be about 8 in the morning. 9 in the morning by now. One's done already? Wow, they're cruising tonight. The files. Nothing there. My goodness. Oh, we don't want Tau. Check out the Kalahari here. Stream is off. Where is Namibia? What's happening here? And nothing. Boy, we're boring tonight. Really boring tonight. Oh well. Hey, Noble Patrick. Nothing going on there. Tomorrow night on the show, Frank Milburn will be here talking about the UFO agendas. That's going to be fun. I know, Doug. Tomorrow night, it's going to be a fun show. I want to say a big thank you to Tim, D. Cohen, Thomas, Simon, Dry Toast, Ozzy Ange, Ozzy Twigbird, The Doug Shelby, Raz Grizz, TMI times 2, Grant Blue, Cruz, Simon, and Tammy for the amazing super chats tonight. Should be another good one tomorrow. Hopefully you'll all join us. And we're going to sign off and say goodnight tonight But thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you, everybody who gave us a thumbs up or thumbs down and hit subscribe tonight. Very much appreciate it. We'll see you all tomorrow night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.